My name is Julian Harrington. I've spent most of my adult life believing I was the luckiest man in the world. And isn't that just the way it goes? You think you've set your world on solid ground, a nice apartment in Manhattan, a comfortable paycheck from consulting, and a wife you love so fiercely that her slightest smile can make your day. I always told people, Haley and I, we're unstoppable, and I truly believed it. But everything changed on a rainy Thursday in late September. It's funny how my memory zeroes in on tiny details. The specific color of the sky, the hum of my coffee machine, the squeak of my shoes on the hardwood floor. I arrived home early from a conference in Boston. The final session got canceled because the keynote speaker fell ill. Normally, I'd have shot Haley a text. Instead, I thought it would be sweet to surprise her. The minute I stepped through the door, I could tell something was off. The lights were dimmed. The living room smelled like lavender, her favorite candle scent, but she only used it when she wanted to wind down. Our place was neat, couch pillows arranged carefully. Usually, at that hour, she might be cooking dinner or folding laundry, or we'd be chatting about our day. I heard her voice before I saw her. She was talking on the phone, but it wasn't the soft, breezy tone she used when she talked with her girlfriends or her mom. It was urgent, low words muffled by the hallway walls. I can't talk now. I know I missed you too. Caleb, we can't keep. The moment I stepped into the living room, she froze. Haley was still holding her phone, her knuckles white against the casing. She mouthed a startled, "Julian?" like she couldn't believe I was standing there. Then, she cut the call short. I gave her a quick, curious smile. "Didn't mean to spook you. Everything okay?" She looked flushed, her hair slightly messy as if she'd been nervously running her fingers through it. "Oh, you're home early," she said. Her voice was shaky, but only if you listened closely. "Conference ended sooner than you thought?" I nodded, fighting to keep my tone casual. "Yeah, big fiasco. Keynote speaker got sick. They canceled the wrap-up sessions." My mind was racing. "Caleb, I missed you." The name alone triggered some primal alarm in me. The first glimmer of doubt slithered through me. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was a coworker or a cousin I'd never heard of. But the look on her face said otherwise. She forced a smile. "Well, I'm glad you're back. This place is too quiet without you." Then, she walked over and gave me a quick hug. That embrace felt strange, too tense, like she was pressing me away rather than pulling me in. I didn't push for an explanation. I merely said I was starving and asked if she'd had dinner yet. She lied easily, which I found out later was second nature to her. "I was about to start cooking," she said. "What do you feel like?" "Anything," I replied. "Maybe pasta?" She nodded quickly. "Sure." As she busied herself in the kitchen, I caught glimpses of her phone placed screen down on the counter. Anytime it vibrated, she glanced at me with a flustered expression, as if to see whether I noticed. I pretended not to. Supper was quiet. Haley filled the silence with random small talk. How busy her day was at the office, something about an upcoming meeting with her boss, some new handbag line she was eyeing. I kept my replies short. My mind kept returning to that overheard phrase. "Caleb, we can't keep after dinner." We parted ways. She hopped in the shower, and I retreated to my home office. My plan was to distract myself with spreadsheets, but the unsettled feeling gnawed at me. I told myself, "Don't be paranoid. It's just a name." But still, the memory of her face, that startled flush, replayed over and over. About an hour later, she said she was heading to bed early. I gave her a brief goodnight kiss. On any other day, we might have curled up on the couch to watch some Netflix show together. But that night, she looked anxious, drained. As soon as she disappeared into the bedroom, I logged into her phone account online. I know it's intrusive, downright suspicious, but I needed to quell the knot in my stomach. I scrolled through the phone logs. My heart hammered when I saw the same number repeated, and the name attached in her contacts was C. Caleb? They had texted or called each other multiple times a day for the last week. The calls were short but frequent, scattered throughout the day at times she'd normally be at work or out to lunch. My chest tightened. So that was no coworker or random cousin. I scrolled further. More calls. More texts. I jotted the number down. My hands shook. A swirl of emotions battled in me, a creeping anger, heartbreak, a wave of confusion. Part of me wanted to barge into the bedroom, demand answers, but I forced myself to remain calm. Over the years, I'd advised clients in complex financial negotiations. My approach was always methodical. Gather every piece of data, weigh it carefully, then strike at the perfect moment. Maybe that's why, on the biggest personal blow of my life, I defaulted to the same strategy. I repeated it like a mantra: stay calm, gather proof. That night, I slept on the couch claiming a headache. Haley barely argued another sign, if I needed one, that things weren't right. The following morning brought fresh tension. I woke early, made coffee, and then heard Haley in the shower. My eyes flicked to her phone on the kitchen table. She usually took it with her everywhere, especially to the bathroom. This time, she'd left it behind. My pulse raced. If I wanted direct proof, now was the chance. I picked up the phone, glancing at the lock screen. No notifications. So I tested her passcode. We never hid passcodes from each other. 12/30, the date of our anniversary, in a 4-digit format. It worked. The first text thread was from C. My eyes skimmed the messages, ignoring the guilt that welled up inside me for invading her privacy. My breath came in shallow bursts as I read, "Caleb, I can't stop thinking about last time. Wish we had more moments like that, Haley. It's risky. Julian almost caught me on the phone last night." I swallowed, blinking back sudden tears. So it was real. My wife was carrying on some secret relationship with a man named Caleb, warning him about me. I read further. They mentioned meeting at some apartment downtown, references to lunches that were definitely not about just lunch. The wording was graphic, sometimes Caleb praising her body, Haley responding with seductive jokes. I felt nauseous. My chest tightened as I tried to keep from hurling the phone across the room. The realization that we'd only been married 6 years, yet she'd do this. I didn't see it coming. I carefully locked her phone and put it back on the table, exactly as I found it. Then I rubbed my eyes and tried to compose myself. By the time Haley stepped into the kitchen, hair still damp, I was pouring coffee as though nothing was wrong. She gave me a small smile. "Morning. Sorry about your headache last night. You feeling better?" "Yeah, a bit." My voice sounded foreign to my own ears, flat. "Just took some aspirin. I'm good." She mumbled something about being late and rushed to get dressed, phone in hand again. She didn't notice a thing off. As she left for work, I just stood there in the living room trying to decide what to do next. Confront her? Threaten to leave? That might give her time to cover tracks, spin stories. Or maybe she'd beg for forgiveness, promise it was just a fling. I realized I didn't want to just confront her. I wanted it done my way. That same day, I made a call to an old friend from high school, Chad Bennett. Chad had a questionable past, a stint in the military, and more recently, he'd been running a small private investigation firm out of Queens. He sounded surprised to hear from me. "Julian, it's been a while. What's up, man?" I tried to keep my tone light. "I need your professional services, Chad. Discreetly, if possible." Chad's voice lowered. "You in some kind of trouble?" I hesitated, forcing the words out. "Not me. My wife. She's seeing someone. I need proof. Solid proof. Photos, times, locations." He exhaled. "Aw, man, I'm sorry to hear that. You sure?" "Unfortunately, yeah." "All right, I'll help. Just text me the details, license plate, phone numbers, whatever you got." I ended the call feeling a mixture of relief and dread. I was crossing a line, but I'd do it if that meant I could expose the truth. Later that afternoon, I sat in my downtown office pretending to focus on spreadsheets for a major client. My phone beeped. A text from Haley. "Hey babe, working late. Don't wait up for me tonight, okay? Some last-minute finance meeting." Funny, I thought. I'd never known her to have last-minute meetings on a Friday. Another wave of betrayal washed over me. But I just typed back, "Sure, no problem." Moments later, Chad texted me to confirm the info. Haley's license plate, a description of her car, where she worked, the suspected time she might be with C. I gave him everything I had. I called it a day, left the office early, and drove home. The condo felt empty. I took the elevator up, carrying a small grocery bag. Usually, Haley loved cooking or ordering takeout together on Fridays. She always joked that Fridays were our junk food date night. But apparently, that tradition was gone, replaced by her late meeting. So I microwaved leftover pasta, forcing myself to eat. The hours inched by. Around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was Chad. I answered instantly. "Julian," he said. "I followed her after work. She left the office around 6:30, drove across town. She's parked outside a building on 14th and Rutledge." Another car arrived, a black BMW, plates registered to a Caleb Marshall. My pulse pounded. "So he's there?" "Yeah. They went inside. I couldn't get close enough to see which apartment number, but they were both all smiles. Didn't look like colleagues to me." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "And you got pictures?" Chad sighed. "I've got a few. Not sure if they'd be enough in court, but it's a start. I'll keep my distance until they leave." "Good. Just keep me posted." When the call ended, I stared blankly at the dark TV screen, fists clenched. So it's real. She's with him right now. A strangling sense of anger rose inside me. I tried to breathe it away. Around midnight, Chad texted me a photo. My hands shook as I opened it. The image was a bit grainy Haley stepping out of the building, her hair slightly messy, Caleb's hand on her waist. She wore a small grin, looking at him with affection. Desire. It made my stomach twist in knots. I took a few deep breaths. This was the first piece of evidence. I typed a quick response to Chad. "Thanks. Keep everything. We'll talk tomorrow." Then I waited for Haley. She showed up at 12:45 a.m., tiptoeing in like a guilty teenager sneaking past curfew. I pretended to be asleep on the couch. She barely glanced at me, just disappeared into the bedroom. I opened my eyes, stared at the ceiling. 1,000 conflicting impulses roared in my mind. I can't let her get away with it. Not after 6 years of building a life together. This is how she treats me? I told myself, no meltdown, no confrontation. Not yet. I needed a plan. I needed more proof. The weekend was awkward. Haley acted affectionate, cooking a big breakfast on Saturday, asking if I wanted to watch a new movie with her. I forced polite smiles, said sure, and endured it. She made small talk about a possible promotion at her workplace. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed occasionally with messages from Chad more times, addresses, suspicious patterns. At one point, she leaned her head on my shoulder as we sat on the couch. She murmured, "I've missed you this week, with you being out of town and all." Lies, I thought, forcing my arm around her. Outwardly, I tried to appear calm, but inside I was a knot of tension. I studied her face. She still looked so lovely to me, delicate features, bright eyes, the woman I once adored wholeheartedly, and yet, behind that face, she was carrying on with another man. Sunday evening, she said she had to meet her friend Brittany for a quick coffee. Chad texted me 5 minutes after she left, saying she'd driven not toward Brittany's neighborhood, but in the direction of the same building on 14th and Rutledge. I felt a spike of anger. She can't even keep her lies straight. She came home an hour later, happily claiming that Brittany had been super chatty about wedding plans for some mutual acquaintance. I nodded, pressing my lips together to avoid snapping. That night, I put my pillow and a blanket on the couch again, claiming I had work calls early in the morning. She gave me a puzzled look but didn't press it. In the dark, as the apartment fell silent, my phone glowed with a text from Chad. "She left that building at 9. Sorry, man. Doesn't look good." I typed back, "Appreciate your help. We'll keep going." I gazed at the city lights through the window. My reflection stared back, tired, haunted, angry. This was no fleeting suspicion. This was happening. Real. That was the night I decided that I wouldn't just divorce her quietly. No. I had a better idea, one that involved carefully orchestrated steps, ensuring she felt the weight of her betrayal. I lay awake thinking of all the love I'd poured into our marriage, all the trust I'd had in Haley. I remembered the day we moved into this condo, how we danced in the empty living room, laughing about our future. I pictured her beaming on our wedding day, promising me forever. A wave of bitterness flooded me. Why did she do it? Finally, around 3 a.m., I drifted into a restless sleep, one thought repeating over and over. If she wants to act like I'm a fool, I'll show her just how foolish I can pretend to be while building the perfect trap. Monday morning, I forced normalcy. I put on my best Navy suit, took an early train into Manhattan, and tried to bury myself in a client meeting. Around lunch, I stepped outside to call Chad from a quiet corner near the elevator bank. He picked up immediately. "Hey, how's it going?" "It's going," I said with a heavy sigh. "I need more." Solid evidence that'll hold up if I end up in a legal dispute. Understood. Actually, I've already got a plan. If you're up for it, I can place a tracker in her car. Get actual timestamps, location logs. Combined with the photo evidence, that might be enough. I leaned against the wall, scanning the hallway to ensure no one overheard. Yes, do it. I want every detail. Where she goes, how long she stays. All right, I can do it tomorrow morning when she's inside her workplace. I paused. Workplace. If Haley's having an affair, maybe she's leaving at odd hours or lying about business lunches. Yes, do it, I repeated. Just be careful. He laughed dryly. I've been doing this a while, man. I'll keep you updated. We ended the call. I flexed my fingers, trying to calm the anger simmering in my veins. At 2 p.m., I got a text from Haley. Hope you're having a good day. A short, sweet, innocuous message. I stared at it for a moment, typed back. You too. Tuesday after work, Chad texted. Tracker in place. She left the office at 2:15, took a 25-minute drive to the same building, stayed for an hour, returned to work. Haley had told me that morning she was swamped with back-to-back meetings. Another lie. By Thursday, we had a full log showing repeated visits to that building, frequently at lunch or around 5 p.m., just a pattern of infidelity, laid out in cold data. That night, I told her I might have to travel again for a client meeting in Dallas. She nodded, only half listening. I recognized the mild relief in her eyes, an opportunity to see Caleb without sneaking around me. Instead of traveling, I stayed in a hotel near Times Square. Chad kept me updated. Sure enough, she visited 14th and Rutledge each day I was gone. My illusions about her loyalty evaporated completely. By the weekend, I felt numb, like I was living on autopilot, waiting for the moment to pull the trigger on my revenge. A friend of Haley's, Brittany, texted me late Sunday. Hey, Julian, can we talk? Something's bothering me. I rarely spoke to Brittany one-on-one. She was mostly Haley's friend, but we'd known each other for years. I offered to meet her in a cafe near Central Park Monday morning. When I arrived, she was already seated, sipping a latte, eyes darting around nervously. As I sat, she gave me a tight smile. Julian, thanks for meeting. Sure, I replied curtly. What's up? Brittany fiddled with her coffee cup. I don't know if Haley told you, but she's been acting weird. She's stressed. I'm worried about her. I raised an eyebrow. Stressed, huh? She nodded too quickly. Yes, like she's hiding something. I tried to get her to open up, but she clams up. I studied Brittany's face. She seemed genuinely uneasy. I suspected she knew more than she was letting on. So you suspect something's going on? She cleared her throat. Maybe. She mentioned a friend from college, Caleb, I think. She said they reconnected, but I suspect they're more than friends. I took a slow breath. Thank you for telling me. But why now? She looked down. I feel guilty. I told her to be careful, to think about what she's risking. But she keeps pushing boundaries, and I think it's going to blow up in her face if it hasn't already. I didn't want you to get blindsided. My heart beat faster. I appreciate your honesty, but this is serious. Do you have any clue how long it's been going on? Brittany hesitated. No, not really. She's been mentioning him off and on for months, maybe even before summer. I pressed my lips into a line, nodded. I see. She stared at me as if searching for a meltdown or sorrow. Are you okay, Julian? You look so calm. I forced a reassuring smile. Don't worry about me. I've got it handled. I left soon after, politely thanking her. She seemed torn between relief and worry. I suspected she might still warn Haley that I was onto her. I'd have to move quickly. That evening, I set about collecting everything Chad had compiled, photos, timestamps, a neat spreadsheet of every suspicious rendezvous. My financial consultant's brain liked to see everything in a clean, logical layout. Each line of data stabbed me in the gut, my wife's repeated betrayals reduced to a pattern. I opened our marriage documents from an old folder, verifying the prenuptial agreement we'd signed. I remember how at the time it felt purely precautionary. Haley had teased me, saying, "You're so practical, but I guess it's good to keep our finances distinct." We never dreamed this would be relevant, but there it was, in black and white. In the event of adultery confirmed by material proof, The other spouse forfeits claim on joint assets. That basically meant if I could prove infidelity, Haley walked away with nothing but her personal property. No condo, no spousal support, no stake in my bank accounts. A dark satisfaction stirred in me, imagining her face when she realized she'd lose everything: her stable life, her comfort, her illusions. Still, a part of me felt hollow. I wasn't a monster. I once loved this woman deeply, but she'd stepped on that love and ignited a cold anger I'd never felt before. As I sat at my desk, I texted Chad. "It's time. I want the final set of pictures. I'll confront her soon." He replied, "You sure, buddy? Ready to blow it all up?" I typed back, "Yes." Then I made one more call to Elaine, my longtime attorney friend who specialized in family law. She answered on the second ring. "Julian, hey! We haven't caught up in months. What's up?" I forced a short laugh. "I wish it was a social call. Listen, I need your services regarding Haley. She's cheating." Elaine paused. "Oh, Julian, I'm sorry." I swallowed. "Don't be. I'm planning on divorcing her under the terms of the prenup, but I want to do it carefully, so I need to know my legal stance and any best practices for confronting her." "Of course," Elaine said softly. Then her voice firmed up. "We'll do it right. Gather evidence, talk strategy. Let's meet tomorrow." We scheduled a lunch meeting near my office. I ended the call staring at my reflection in the black screen of my laptop. This was it. No going back. Late that night, Haley returned from a supposed dinner with coworkers. I forced a casual greeting, poured myself a whiskey. She stepped closer, tried to rest her hand on my shoulder. "You okay? You seem distant lately." I looked up at her, plastering on a tired smile. "Just a lot on my mind with work." She bit her lip, eyes flicking to the side. "You sure we're good? I feel like we're not connecting." My chest tightened. "We're fine," I lied, forcing my tone to remain neutral. "We'll talk when I'm less stressed, all right?" She exhaled in relief, or maybe frustration, and drifted off to bed. I sat there, sipping my whiskey, letting the burn spread through my chest. The condo was quiet, the overhead lights casting shadows on the walls. A memory flickered in my mind, one of the good times, when we laughed over takeout pizza, telling corny jokes, planning a vacation to Europe that never happened. I felt a pang of regret for the life we could have had if she'd stayed loyal. But I brushed those feelings aside. I had a plan, a strategy. The next phase was about to begin. The following day, I met Elaine for lunch at a small restaurant near my building. She was the picture of professional chic, wearing a sharp blazer, her hair pinned back. We chatted briefly about everyday things before I laid out my evidence. Times, dates, photos, texts. She flipped through them, a frown etching her brow. "You've done your homework." "My friend Chad's the investigator," I said. "I just want to make sure Haley can't weasel out of the prenup by denying the affair or claiming emotional abuse or something." Elaine sighed. "Understood. From the looks of it, you've got enough. The prenuptial agreement is quite strong. Adultery voids any spousal claim." I nodded. "So, what's the next step? Do I just hand her the divorce papers?" "You could. But if you want an ironclad case, you might want a direct admission or a situation that leaves zero room for her to spin. Are you planning a confrontation at home?" I tapped a pen on the table, considering. "Yes. I want her to see the evidence. Let her know she can't hide or manipulate me." Elaine said, "Record it if you can, video or audio. She might just confess once she realizes she's cornered." My stomach churned at the thought, but I gave a grim smile. "I'm prepared to do that." We parted ways soon after, the divorce papers in a neat envelope. I tucked them into my briefcase, feeling their weight. This is the beginning of the end. That evening, I had a dinner scheduled with potential clients from a tech startup. My mind wasn't in it, but I forced myself to be the polished, affable consultant they expected. I plastered a grin, shook hands, made conversation about investment strategies. All the while, a storm brewed inside me. Around 9 p.m., the dinner wrapped up. I excused myself and walked onto the sidewalk, the bustle of Manhattan swirling around. My phone buzzed Chad again. "Julian, you free to talk?" I ducked under an awning. "Yeah, what's new?" "I've got a fresh set of photos from today. She met him at that same building, left around 6, then had dinner with him at a bistro on Lower East Side. I followed them. They looked well, close, then they parted ways. She's heading home now. My stomach lurched. Email me the pictures. Done, he said. Also, I found out more about Caleb. He's a marketing director at a competing firm, but he might have some skeletons in his closet. A couple shady deals, potential lawsuits, something about forging expense reports. My pulse quickened. That's interesting. Could be useful. He snorted. Definitely. If you want to hurt him, you might have an angle. I ended the call, jaw clenched. An angle. This affair wasn't just personal, it had professional angles too. If I wanted, I could burn him down in front of his company. A small voice whispered in my head, "Go for it." I arrived home to find Haley on the couch, flipping through channels, looking almost bored. She glanced at me. "Late dinner, huh?" I shrugged. "Clients. Went well." She yawned, then said, "I'm beat. Heading to bed." I watched her walk away, feeling the bitterness churn. She didn't even ask about my day or want to spend time with me, because she'd already had her fun with Caleb. In the days that followed, I kept building my arsenal. Chad uncovered a few more details on Caleb's questionable track record. Elaine worked with me on the strategy, confrontation plus immediate legal action. My routine was surreal. By day, I was the smooth-talking financial consultant. By night, I was an emotionally wrecked husband plotting a methodical takedown. Haley kept up her charade, occasionally cooking dinner, showing mild concern about my distance. But mostly, she seemed lost in her own world, texting on her phone with a slight smile that made my skin crawl. Brittany shot me a few messages, checking on how I was doing. I gave her vague responses. I suspected she might be telling Haley I seemed suspicious, so I was careful not to tip my hand. The sense of foreboding escalated. I recall one particular Wednesday evening. Haley claimed she had a work function. Chad's tracker told me she spent 2 hours at the same apartment building on 14th and Rutledge. By the time she got home, I was waiting in the living room, a single lamp on, the rest of the room draped in shadows. She walked in, dropped her keys on the coffee table. When she saw me sitting there, she jumped slightly. "You scared me," she said. "Sorry," I replied tonelessly. She studied me. "You okay?" "Fine." She hesitated, probably expecting me to press about her so-called work function. But I just stared, letting the silence stretch. Then she coughed awkwardly. "I'm exhausted. Gonna shower." I gave a curt nod. "Sure." As I watched her retreat to the bedroom, I realized I was trembling. Not from fear, maybe from the anger I was forcing down. But not yet. The perfect time to strike wasn't that night. The next morning, I decided the moment was coming soon. I arranged with Chad for a final catch scenario. We'd track them, get the clearest photos, maybe video if possible. Then I'd confront Haley that same night at home. But my plan took an unexpected twist. On Friday, Haley's mother, Linda, called me out of the blue. She rarely reached out directly usually. Haley was the one who kept in contact. "Julian, hi," Linda said. "Everything all right with Haley?" My heart thudded. "Why do you ask?" "She's been acting strange on the phone, and well, I don't want to meddle, but I sense tension. She wouldn't say much, though. She sounded nervous." I nearly gritted my teeth. So Haley's mother is picking up on the tension, too. "I think Haley's under a lot of stress at work," I said carefully. "But she'll be fine." Linda sighed. "Okay, just checking. You know, if there's trouble in your marriage, I hope you two can talk it out. I hate seeing you both unhappy." I forced a neutral response. "I appreciate it, Linda. I'll let you know if we need anything." We hung up. Her words churned in my mind. I bet Haley was feeling cornered or maybe feeling guilty. She might sense I was pulling away, that something was off. That day I texted Elaine, "This is it. I'm confronting her soon." Elaine replied, "Make sure you have all you need. Let me know if you want me to draw up final documents." Final documents. The phrase made me swallow hard. This was real. Saturday rolled around and I left the condo, pretending to meet a friend for coffee. In reality, I sat in my car near the building on 14th and Rutledge, waiting. Chad had discreetly parked a block away, camera ready. Sure enough, around noon, Haley's car rolled up. She parked, stepped out wearing a stylish black coat and heels, an outfit more suited for a date than weekend errands. She glanced around as if checking she wasn't followed, then walked inside. I texted Chad, I'm here. Let me know. He responded, I'm at the side door, waiting. An hour passed. 2 hours. I took slow breaths, each minute fueling my resolve. Then Chad messaged, they're coming out. I'll get good footage. I slid down in my seat as Haley and a tall man, Caleb, presumably exited, laughing about something. Chad snapped photos from behind a nearby hedge. The pair looked relaxed, even playful. She touched his arm and my stomach lurched. My wife, treating some other man like that. They kissed quickly, then parted ways, each going to their own cars. I clenched the steering wheel. Enough. That evening, after Haley returned home from her shopping trip, I told her I wanted to open a bottle of wine and talk. She seemed mildly tense, but followed me to the living room. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. I poured wine into 2 glasses, handed her one. She took a cautious sip. Haley, I began. I've been meaning to ask how's everything at work. You've been busy. She shrugged. Fine. Like I said, a lot going on, but I'm managing. I studied her face. You sure there's nothing else happening? You look worried. Her eyes flickered. No, just the usual. Why do you ask? I took a long sip, letting the tension build. I want you to be honest with me, I said quietly. Is there someone else in your life? She froze, her knuckles whitening around the wine glass. What do you mean? I forced a calm expression. You know what I mean. Are you seeing someone else? Another man? Her gaze darted away. She tried to keep her voice steady. No, Julian. Why would you ask that? I set my glass down. Because I have a feeling, and I want the truth. She fidgeted. If you're referring to me working late or going out with friends, you know that's not unusual. I've told you my job's hectic. My heart pounded. She was lying to my face without a shred of guilt. I inhaled deeply. This wasn't the time for partial confrontation. I didn't want a half admission. I wanted her cornered. So I simply nodded. All right, I said, letting the conversation fizzle. She relaxed slightly, probably thinking she'd dodged a bullet. But inside me the fury mounted. The next day I gathered everything: photos, text records, the prenup. I planned to confront her that night, show her no escape. But fate intervened earlier than that. Around noon, Haley's friend Brittany texted me. Julian, I think Haley's about to do something reckless. She told me she's meeting Caleb at a bar downtown tonight. Thought you should know. Perfect, I thought. I texted Chad the bar's address. Be ready. He was. By 8 p.m., Chad had stationed himself in a corner booth, disguised as a casual patron. I sat outside in my car, scanning the entrance. Haley arrived, alone, wearing a short dress, hair styled. 5 minutes later, Caleb strolled up and kissed her cheek in plain view of passers-by. They went inside, found a small table near the back. Chad had a vantage point from behind a half wall. He texted me updates. They're ordering drinks. She's leaning in close. He's touching her leg. Each new detail was a stab in my chest. I forced myself to remain calm. My final piece of the puzzle was about to be locked in. After about an hour, they left the bar. Chad snapped several close-up photos of them hugging, their faces inches apart. Then they parted ways. I called Chad. Did you get it? Oh, yeah, he said. Crystal clear. You've got them practically canoodling for the camera. Good, I muttered. Meet me tomorrow with everything. That's a plan. I arrived home earlier than Haley. She slipped in around midnight, reeking of wine. I pretended to be half asleep on the couch. She mumbled a greeting, then went straight to the bedroom. In the silence that followed, I felt oddly calm. I replayed the plan in my head. Show her the proof, record her reaction, let her realize the prenup dooms her, then finalize the legal approach with Elaine. No mercy, I reminded myself. Monday morning dawned bright and cold. Haley was up early, rummaging in the kitchen. I observed her from the doorway. She looked anxious, eyes darting. I guessed she was bracing for something, uncertain if I'd discovered anything. I approached her, forcing a casual demeanor. Good morning, she mumbled. Morning. You're leaving early? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, big day at the office. Then she glanced at me, hesitating. Julian, can we have dinner tonight? Like a real sit-down dinner at home? I feel like we haven't had that in forever. I studied her face. Was this guilt? A last-ditch attempt at normalcy? Sure, I said quietly. I'll be home at 7. She managed a small smile. Great, I'll cook. We parted ways. I spent the day in a haze at my office, ignoring the spreadsheets on my screen. My mind lingered on the confrontation to come. Around 5 p.m. Chad arrived with a manila folder and a USB drive. We met in my office's conference room, deserted at that hour. He laid out the photos. Haley and Caleb at the bar, at the downtown apartment, walking with arms around each other. I felt a pang of heartbreak just looking at them. That's enough, I murmured. I'm done collecting. Chad nodded. Got it. So what's next? I'm confronting her tonight, I said. Then I'll call my attorney friend. He placed a hand on my shoulder. I hate that you're going through this, man. But you'll come out on top. I forced a bleak smile. I appreciate everything, Chad. He left. I tidied the photos into a folder, checking the time. 6:15, time to go. I arrived home at exactly 7. The smell of sizzling garlic and onions greeted me. Haley was in the kitchen, stirring a pot. She wore an apron, hair in a messy bun, a domestic scene that felt almost comedic, given what I knew. She turned with a bright, if nervous, smile. You're on time. Good. I set my briefcase by the door, slipping the folder inside the living room cabinet for the moment. Something smells good, I said evenly. It's pasta, she said, voice trembling slightly. Figured that's your favorite. I nodded. We made small talk about everything except the elephant in the room, her affair. She served the food and we sat at the dining table, the overhead light illuminating her anxious features. She took a deep breath. Julian, I need to... I raised my hand. Wait, before you say anything, can we just move to the living room? I have something important to show you. Her brow furrowed. Show me? Yes. She followed me, setting her fork down. We left half-eaten plates behind. In the living room, I walked over to the cabinet, retrieved the manila folder, and faced her. My pulse hammered, but my voice remained steady. I flicked on the lamp, bathing the space in warm light. Then I calmly opened the folder and pulled out a few photos. Haley's eyes fixated on them, confusion turning to horror as she realized what they depicted. I spoke quietly. I've known about you and Caleb for a while. I've had someone follow you, gather evidence. Here it is. She took a shaky step back, face going pale. Julian, this is... I silenced her with a raised hand. Don't bother lying. It's all here. Timestamps, photos of you two kissing, texts. I know exactly what you've been doing. Her hands trembled. She reached out to touch one of the photos, then recoiled like it burned her. I can explain, she whispered. A bitter laugh escaped me. Explain what? That you've been sneaking around behind my back for months? That you find it entertaining to play the doting wife while hooking up with him? Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't like that, Julian. It started as a friendship, and I didn't know how to stop. I felt trapped. I gazed at her, anger coiled in my chest. Trapped? I repeated. That's your justification? She stammered. I never wanted to hurt you. I was lonely. You work so much. And Caleb, he gave me attention, excitement. I clenched my fists but kept my tone measured. Yet you still wore my ring, lived in my home, spent my money and lied to my face every single day. She broke into a sob, sinking onto the couch. Julian, I'm so sorry. I know it's unforgivable. I stepped closer, dropping the final blow. Damn right, it's unforgivable. That's why we're done. She looked up, eyes wide with dread. What do you mean? I opened another folder, revealing the prenuptial agreement. You remember this, right? The prenup you signed, the clause about adultery. She read the bold text with shaky hands. Her voice came out strangled. That was just a formality. I never thought. I cut her off. Well, it's no formality now. You cheated, I have the proof, and you get nothing. She whimpered. Julian, please, let me fix this. I'll end it with him. I'll do anything. A wave of rage rose in me. Now she pleads. Don't bother. It's too late. I've already got a lawyer ready to file for divorce. I'll be pressing forward with everything. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Please, can't we talk it out? We can see a counselor or... My voice turned cold. The time for that was before you stepped out on me. I'm not interested in your excuses, she sobbed, burying her face in her hands. I never wanted to lose you. I was stupid. I'm so stupid. I waited, letting the moment hang. Then I said quietly, if you're looking for sympathy, you won't find it here. Start packing, because you won't be staying under my roof. Consider the next 48 hours your grace period. She looked up, fear etched across her face. Where will I go? I shrugged, unmoved. Maybe Caleb has a guest room. She flinched, tears intensifying. Don't do this, Julian. I stared down at her, remembering all the times I'd worshipped this woman. The love, the devotion, the trust. It died the moment she chose Caleb over me. You did this to yourself, I said, voice trembling with anger. I'll expect you gone by the day after tomorrow. She crumpled on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I felt no urge to comfort her. Instead, I quietly walked to the bedroom, shut the door behind me, and locked it. On the other side, I heard her crying, calling my name. I closed my eyes, letting the exhaustion wash over me. The confrontation had happened. I'd wanted to see her crumble under the weight of her betrayal. Now that I had, I felt numb, as if I'd unleashed a storm that left me hollow. But at least now, the path forward was clear. It was time for her to face the consequences. That night, I barely slept. I heard Haley moving around the condo until well past midnight, opening drawers, slamming doors, possibly packing. Occasionally, she'd pause outside the bedroom door, whispering my name in a trembling voice. But I never opened it. When I finally emerged in the morning, she was slumped on the couch, eyes puffy, makeup smeared. She looked up as if ready to beg again, but I strode into the kitchen without a word. I poured coffee into a travel mug, ignoring the knots in my stomach. If she wanted to talk, that was her problem. She got up and followed me. Julian, she rasped. Please, I know you hate me, but can we just talk? I faced her, gripping my mug. Say whatever you need to say. She pressed her palms together. I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't begin to fix it. I want you to know it wasn't about you not being enough. I just felt like we were drifting and I was lonely. Her voice cracked. It was a huge mistake. A dull ache pulsed behind my ribs. Part of me wanted to shout that she was lying again, that she was only sorry because she got caught. Instead, I pressed my lips tight and said, You should have talked to me if you felt lonely, not hopped into bed with some other man. She started to cry again. I know, it was stupid. But maybe we can salvage. I shook my head slowly. There's nothing left. I've been building my life with you under false assumptions. Everything is shattered. She sniffled, tears streaking her cheeks. Where will I go? I don't have enough money to get my own place right away. I shrugged, swallowing the remnants of pity. That's not my problem. You can stay with a friend, or your mom, or yes, Caleb. Doesn't matter to me. She looked on the verge of collapsing. Caleb. She closed her eyes. He won't want me if I have nowhere else. Her words only fueled my disgust. She's used to men supporting her lifestyle. She's just realized she might lose it all. I'm leaving, I said firmly. When I get back tonight, you'd better have started packing. I swept out the door, letting it slam behind me. My heart pounded as I marched to the elevator, ignoring the pang of regret that threatened to weaken my resolve. I spent the day finalizing a big contract for a client, trying to drown my personal chaos in spreadsheets and negotiations. But my phone kept buzzing with calls from Haley, which I ignored. Elaine texted, "Everything okay?" I typed back, confronted her. "She's out by tomorrow, then we file." She replied, "All right, let me know if you need anything." My head swam as I left the office that evening. The idea of going home to face more tears and drama made me nauseous. On impulse, I called Chad. "Hey, man," I said. "You free for a drink tonight?" He paused. "Sure. Let's do it. You okay?" "I will be. Let's meet at that lounge near your place." Half an hour later, we were settled into a dimly lit bar, nursing bourbons. The music was low, the crowd sparse. Chad studied me across the table. "So, how'd it go?" I gave a bitter laugh. "She begged, cried, apologized. I told her to get out in 48 hours. Chad nodded slowly. "That's tough. but I guess it had to be done. I sighed, swirling my drink. I keep thinking I should feel relief or triumph, but I just feel empty. He leaned in. Dude, you spent years loving her. Even if you're furious, the heartbreak won't vanish overnight. I swallowed. Yeah, heartbreak's one word for it. Rage is another. He clapped my shoulder. Remember, you're doing what's right for you. Don't let guilt second-guess that. We sat in silence for a bit, sipping our drinks. The bartender occasionally cast curious glances our way, probably reading the tension. Eventually, Chad asked, "What about Caleb? You plan to confront him?" A sour taste filled my mouth. I'm not sure if I even want to lay eyes on the bastard, but he's not off the hook. I have some dirt on him. If he tries to cause trouble, I'll bury him. Chad grinned wryly. That's the spirit. I left the bar feeling slightly steadier, though the prospect of going home still churned my stomach. By the time I got back to the condo, it was almost 10 p.m. I braced myself, unlocking the door. The lights were mostly off. I crept in to find Haley in the living room, half the furniture moved or disassembled. She'd pulled a couple of suitcases out from storage, clothes spilling out in piles. She turned to face me, eyes puffy. I'm packing. You don't have to stand there glaring. I exhaled. Fine. Need help? She shook her head fiercely. No, thanks. I set my keys down, noticing the faint smell of bleach. You clean something? Her gaze darted. I scrubbed the kitchen floor. I guess I felt guilty about everything. I had no response. I just walked to the bedroom. She'd taken most of her stuff from the closet, leaving behind random empty hangers. The sight hammered home the finality of this. She followed me to the doorway. Julian, I can't stay with my mom. She's in Florida, and there's no space. And I can't go to Caleb. He's not picking up my calls. I turned slowly, arms crossed. Then find a hotel or an Airbnb. I don't care. You have until tomorrow night. That's more than generous. Her voice trembled. Please, can I stay just a few more days until I figure something out? I shook my head. No, I gave you a deadline. I expect you gone. A fresh sob racked her. I was hoping you'd soften. I fixed her with a cold stare. Don't mistake me for a doormat. That version of me died when you lied to my face. She retreated, tears trailing down her cheeks. I shut the bedroom door behind me, locked it, and collapsed on the bed. My chest felt tight, but I told myself this was the right path. The next morning I emerged to find her finishing the last of her packing. She'd changed into sweats, hair tied back in a messy ponytail, face pale. A couple of boxes were stacked by the door. I poured coffee, ignoring her as she taped a box shut. Finally, she spoke. I booked a cheap motel for a few nights. I swallowed, giving a curt nod. Good. So you'll be out tonight? She nodded, tears threatening again. Yes. I handed her an envelope containing some basic instructions from Elaine about the divorce. This is for you. My attorney friend is drafting the formal papers. You'll need to sign. She opened it, eyes scanning the papers. This is I get nothing? My jaw tightened. Read the prenup you signed. That's the contract you agreed to. She looked up, heartbreak etched across her face. I can't believe we've come to this. I shook my head, feeling a flicker of old love overshadowed by betrayal. Neither can I. I headed out without another word. At the elevator, I paused. Part of me wanted to say something, some final statement of closure, but I couldn't. The door pinged open and I stepped in. That day at work was a blur. My phone blew up with sympathetic or curious texts from Brittany, a missed call from Haley's mother, Linda. I ignored them all. Elaine called around noon. How are you doing? Surviving, I said. She's leaving tonight. Then we can proceed with the papers, right? Yes, Elaine replied. Once she's served, the clock starts. If she fights, we'll handle it, but it'll be tough for her to break that prenup. Good, I murmured. Let's not drag this out. We wrapped up and I slumped back in my chair, staring at the Manhattan skyline. I felt wrung out, like I'd aged 5 years in a week. Just keep moving forward, I told myself. When I arrived home that evening, the condo was eerily silent. No lights on, no scent of dinner cooking, no sign of Haley. I flicked the switch, revealing empty spots on shelves where her personal items had been. A few drawers in the living room open, rummaged through. On the kitchen counter lay a single note. Julian, I'm gone. I know you hate me now, but I hope someday you'll remember the good times. I'm sorry I ruined everything. Haley. My mouth twisted. Sorry doesn't fix betrayal. I crumpled the note, tossed it in the trash. Then I stood alone in the hush, letting the emptiness sink in. She was gone. Despite all the anger, a pang of sadness blossomed in my chest. I wandered to the bedroom, half expecting to see her. But it was just me, in a half-empty space. The abrupt shift from married couple's home to my place felt jarring. I lay on the bed, eyes on the ceiling, replaying the entire relationship in my head, our wedding, the birthdays, the silly arguments over Netflix shows, the evening strolls around the block, all overshadowed by her betrayal. I let out a long breath. She brought it on herself. Early the next morning, I emailed Elaine. She's out. Let's file. Then I threw myself into a new round of client negotiations. Work was my safe zone, a place where logic and strategy reigned. Midday, Haley called. I stared at the phone, debated ignoring it, but ended up hitting answer. Her voice was shaky. Julian, I just want to check in. Did you find everything okay? I left a note. I bristled. Found it. Don't worry about me. Focus on your new reality, she sniffed. I'm at a motel. It's awful here. I can't believe this is happening. I held my temper. You did this, Haley. Remember that. Now I have to go. I hung up, chest pounding. A wave of guilt tried to creep in, but I clung to my anger. That afternoon, I had a meeting with a major corporate client. As I presented slides about financial forecasts, my phone kept buzzing in my pocket. After the meeting, I checked. 3 missed calls from Haley, 1 from Linda, her mother. Also a text from Chad. Everything good? I texted Chad back. She's moved out. We're moving forward with divorce. He replied, if you need more ammo, let me know. Found some extra dirt on Caleb. I paused. Extra dirt? I typed, what kind of dirt? Chad, some shady real estate deals, possible fraud. Let's talk soon. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. If Caleb tries messing with me or if Haley tries to backtrack, I have weapons ready. I arrived home that evening to an empty, echoing condo. The sense of finality felt crushing. I poured a stiff drink and sat on the couch, letting the silence wrap around me. Part of me felt a pang of relief. No more deception. No more forced interactions with a cheating spouse. But the other part felt the stinging loss of the life I thought I had. My phone buzzed a text from Brittany. Hey, I heard Haley's out. I'm so sorry. Please let me know if you want to talk. I typed a curt reply. Thanks for the concern. I'm handling it. She responded, I hate that it ended this way. I tried to warn her. If you ever need anything, let me know. I said nothing further, dropping the phone on the coffee table. Days bled into a week. Papers were filed. Elaine arranged a formal serving of divorce documents to Haley's motel address. Rumors started spreading among our acquaintances. People texted me, feigning shock or curiosity. I kept my mouth shut, letting them guess. At night, I paced the condo, noticing every empty corner, every item out of place. The bed felt too large. The dinners felt pointless. Sleep eluded me. I found some measure of comfort in planning the next steps, ensuring Haley got no financial benefit, verifying that if Caleb tried to meddle, I'd crush him. One evening, around 9 p.m., my phone rang. It was Linda again, Haley's mother. I almost let it go to voicemail, but decided to pick up. Linda, I said, voice flat. She sounded distraught. Julian, is it true? You kicked Haley out? My jaw tightened. Yes, she cheated on me, Linda. With some guy named Caleb. I have proof. She let out a shaky gasp. Oh my God, she only said you two had problems? She never said Are you certain? I swallowed. Absolutely certain. Linda began to cry softly. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I don't blame you for being angry, but she's still my daughter. She needs help. She made her bed, I said coolly, and she can lie in it. I'm done. Linda sniffled. I understand. Just please, if there's any way to handle this quietly. I clenched my fist. I'm not broadcasting it, but I'm not protecting her from the consequences. She's divorcing me under the worst possible terms. Linda mumbled something about maybe sending Haley some money so she could find a better place to stay. I ended the call soon after, drained. The next morning, Elaine confirmed that Haley had been served the divorce papers. No official response from her yet, Elaine said, but she has 30 days to reply. She might try to fight it. I arched an eyebrow. On what grounds? The prenup's ironclad. Elaine shrugged. Sometimes people contest the legitimacy of the agreement, claim undue pressure, but from what you told me, everything was done properly. I exhaled. Let her try if she wants. It won't change the outcome. 1 week became 2. The condo grew quieter by the day. I immersed myself in work, finalizing major projects, traveling occasionally for business. The neighbors gave me sympathetic looks in the hallway, but never pried. At night, I'd find myself in front of the TV, aimlessly flipping channels. I'd never been the type to dwell on heartbreak, but sometimes my mind drifted, remembering simpler times with Haley. I tried to choke back the feelings of nostalgia or regret. She's the one who broke us. Chad sent me occasional updates, offering more evidence if I needed it. I told him to hold off for now. We had enough for the divorce. But I kept the idea of using Caleb's shady business deals as a trump card if he tried to stir trouble. One particular evening, as I sat in the living room reading financial reports, my phone buzzed, a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously, "Hello?" A moment of silence. Then, "Julian, it's Caleb." His voice was deeper than I expected, with a slight smugness. My pulse quickened. "How did you get my number?" He gave a low chuckle. "Haley gave it to me a while back. Look, I know you're divorcing her. I just want to talk." Rage flared inside me. "You've got some nerve calling me." He sighed. "Listen, man, I didn't intend to break up your marriage. It just happened. I cut him off, voice shaking. "Don't feed me that crap. You two sneaked around behind my back. That was a choice, not an accident." He paused. "Yeah, well, she told me you were distant, always working. She needed affection. I gave it to her." Hot anger surged. "Is that supposed to make me sympathetic?" "Look," Caleb continued, "I just want to be sure we can keep this civil. I'd rather not deal with some big scandal or you wrecking my career." I let out a short laugh. "Civil? You seduced my wife, and you're worried about your career?" He bristled. "No one seduced anyone. She came to me complaining about you. But hey, if you want to play dirty," I clenched my jaw. "I can do more than play dirty. I have enough on you to get you fired from your job and possibly blacklisted. Don't test me." He exhaled. "Man, you're being extreme." I glared at the air. "What do you expect? You're screwing my wife." He fumbled. "Ex-wife soon, right? So just let's be adults. We can all move on." I felt sick. "You are unbelievably arrogant. Don't call me again." Then I hung up, heart pounding, the phone rattling in my grip. I paced the room, adrenaline coursing. "He's got some nerve," I typed out a message to Chad. "Caleb just called me. He wants civility. Keep your eyes open." Chad responded, "Wow, that's bold. Let me know if you want me to dig deeper." I replied, "Yes. Make sure we have everything in case he tries to sabotage me." My blood boiled at the thought of Caleb acting like he was the victim. He's the reason Haley is out of my life. I tried to calm down, telling myself, I will not let that smug bastard get away without repercussions. A few days later, I discovered that Haley had lost her job. One of her colleagues, who I occasionally worked with, told me off the record that Haley had been taking too many breaks, missing deadlines. The boss found out about her affair with a director at a competing firm, Bad Optics. When I heard the news, I felt an unsettling mixture of pity and triumph. She was reaping the consequences of her actions. Brittany texted me the day after, asking if I'd heard that Haley was unemployed. I gave a terse response. "Yes, I know." She wrote back, "She's devastated. She asked me for money to cover rent at her motel." I frowned at my screen. "She's still at that motel? That means she's got nowhere else to turn." I typed, "Do what you want, Brittany, but I'm not giving her a cent." Brittany replied, "I understand." Meanwhile, Elaine informed me that Haley had retained a lawyer, some small-time attorney. He sent a letter challenging the prenup's validity, citing emotional stress. Elaine scoffed. We met for coffee to strategize. She tapped the letter. "This is a classic attempt to wriggle out. She's claiming you forced her to sign under duress." I snorted. What duress? She was fine with it at the time. Elaine nodded. I know. If she pushes, we'll request documentation from that period. Statements from the lawyer who drafted it, and from witnesses who saw how she signed voluntarily. She won't win. I rubbed my temple. It's more wasted time, though. She sighed. Yes, but we'll get through it. If anything, it could buy her a bit more time to find a place, but it won't overturn the prenup. I sipped my coffee, mind swirling with frustration. I want this done. I want her out of my life completely. Elaine gently touched my arm. I know. Hang tight, Julian. We'll see if we can push for an expedited hearing. I nodded. Thanks. That week I kept expecting Haley to call or text, begging me to drop the divorce or pay her rent. Instead, radio silence. I guessed she was leaning on Brittany or her mother for help, or maybe she was with Caleb. The thought made me recoil. Late one night, my phone buzzed. I picked it up to see a text from an unknown number. Julian, if you keep threatening me, I'll reveal all your dirty secrets. See. My heart thumped. Caleb. Dirty secrets? I wasn't sure what he thought he had on me. Possibly he was bluffing or trying to rattle me. I typed a single response. Try me. He didn't reply. My guess was, he had nothing. Still, it fueled my resolve. I contacted Chad the next morning. Dig deeper, I told him. If Caleb tries anything, I want to destroy him first. Chad let out a low whistle. You got it. I'll see if he's got lawsuits pending, maybe a shady expense account. We can leak it if necessary. Part of me felt ruthless. Another part felt justified. Caleb had ruined my marriage, then had the gall to threaten me? No way. One evening I got a call from Linda again. I hesitated but answered. She spoke quickly, her voice laced with anxiety. Julian, have you heard from Haley? She's not returning my calls. I'm worried. I pinched the bridge of my nose. No, I haven't. She's not my responsibility anymore, Linda. Her voice trembled. She told me she lost her job and is behind on motel payments. I'm frightened she might do something drastic. A cold pang struck me. As angry as I was, the thought of her harming herself made my stomach twist. She'll be fine. She can call you or Brittany if she needs help. Linda let out a ragged breath. Just if she reaches out, please let me know. Despite what she did, I don't want her on the street. I murmured a half-hearted agreement and hung up. The reality was, part of me still had a thread of concern for her basic well-being. But I refused to let it overshadow what she'd done to me. The next few days were quiet. I half expected some drama from Haley's lawyer, but Elaine said they were negotiating minor details. Haley apparently asked for more time to gather funds for her own place. Then, on a rainy afternoon, I got an unexpected visitor at my office. Brittany. My assistant knocked on my door, looking uncertain, and said, There's a Miss Brittany here to see you. I frowned but let her in. She slipped into my office, hair damp, eyes worried. Julian, can we talk? I nodded at the chair. Sit. She lowered herself, wringing her hands. Haley's in bad shape. She's living in a rundown motel. Can't find a new job because references are shaky, and she's basically spiraling. A flicker of pity rose in me, but I kept my face impassive. That's unfortunate. Brittany leaned forward. Look, I'm not excusing what she did. It was awful, and you have every right to be mad. But if there's any way you could let her keep some possessions or maybe help her with a deposit on a small apartment, I stiffened. You're kidding, right? After she destroyed our marriage, lied to me daily, and tried to fight our prenup, she sighed. I know, but she's desperate, and I'm worried about her mental state. I tapped my pen on the desk. I'm not a monster, Brittany, but I'm not going to bankroll her new life either. She made her choice. She shook her head. Could you at least talk to her? She's too ashamed to call you again. She says you won't answer anyway. I let out a slow breath. I have nothing more to say to her. She can talk to my lawyer if she wants. That's it. Brittany seemed defeated. Fine, I had to try. We sat in tense silence for a moment. Then she rose. I'm sorry for bothering you. I just hoped you might show her a little mercy. I met her gaze. Mercy? She gave me none. Don't ask me to do what she refused to do. Brittany didn't respond. She left quietly, leaving me with a swirl of conflicting emotions. That night, I paced my apartment, replaying the conversation with Brittany. My mind conjured images of Haley alone in a dingy motel, broke, unemployed. A flicker of pity clashed with my anger. She's suffering, but she deserves it. I'd always pictured myself as a fair person, not vindictive by nature. But infidelity changed that. Even so, I decided I'd at least ensure she had no illusions left. I typed a short text to Haley. Whatever Brittany told me about your situation, it doesn't change anything. This divorce is final. I won't be paying for your new place or anything else. Julian. I doubted she'd respond, but I felt better clarifying the line. An hour later, a single reply. Understood. I tossed my phone aside. That's that. A few days later, Chad called with an update about Caleb. Dude, I found some real dirt, he said, voice brimming with excitement. There's an ongoing internal investigation at his firm about missing client funds. He's a prime suspect. I leaned forward at my desk. So he's a potential embezzler. Looks like it, Chad confirmed. If that's proven, his career is basically over, and possibly jail time. My lips curved into a grim smile. Interesting. If he tries anything, we can tip off the authorities or the press. Chad chuckled. Revenge served cold, right? We hung up and I stared out the window, satisfaction mixing with the lingering heartbreak. Caleb might soon face his own downfall. Good. On a quiet Saturday morning, Elaine called me with a note of triumph in her voice. Haley's lawyer reached out. She's dropping the challenge to the prenup. Looks like she realized it's a losing battle. We just have to finalize the paperwork. I exhaled relief. So this is almost done. Yes, Elaine said. We'll finalize within a few weeks. Then you'll be free. The assets remain yours. I closed my eyes, a small weight lifting off my chest. Thank you, Elaine. I mean it. She was silent a moment, then asked gently, How do you feel? I let a tight laugh escape. Happy it's nearly over. Sad it ever happened. But I'll manage. Understandable, she murmured. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. That evening I returned to an empty condo once again. The wide windows showcased the city lights. The hush felt different now, less oppressive, more open. This is the new normal. I poured myself a celebratory glass of whiskey, sat by the window and watched the skyline. My thoughts drifted to the future. Eventually I might date again, find someone who truly values me. Or maybe I'd stay single for a while, focusing on my career, my own life, free from the lies. Haley was out there somewhere, probably regretting her choices, possibly crying herself to sleep. Caleb was facing potential legal trouble. A sense of poetic justice stirred within me. They deserve whatever they get. As I sipped my whiskey, I felt the first stirrings of genuine relief. The heartbreak was real, the betrayal deep, but I was regaining control of my life, and that was all that mattered now. I feel a strange hollowness when I step into my condo tonight. It's been exactly 3 days since Haley vacated the premises, lugging her suitcases out the door. I remember standing by the window, arms folded, watching her through the blinds as she hauled her last cardboard box down the hallway. The elevator doors closed behind her, and with that, 6 years of married life ended in a hush of cheap cardboard and hurried footsteps. Even so, the emptiness feels surreal. I set my briefcase near the coat rack. Normally, this would be the moment she'd pop her head out from the kitchen, greet me with a perfunctory smile, or mention some trivial detail of her day. Now, only silence. The living room lamp casts long shadows across the couch. I drop onto that couch, exhaling. The hum of the AC is my only companion. This place used to be our space, from the scatter of her throw pillows to the faint trace of her floral perfume clinging to the cushions. Now, I'm determined to rebrand it my space. I'll do it by stripping every vestige of her from these walls, piece by piece. But first, I need to address the day's biggest news. My attorney, Elaine, says Haley's capitulating on the prenup. No more attempts to contest. At least on paper, it's straightforward. But in practice, who knows? She could still try to spin a sob story. Meanwhile, Chad's discovered fresh intel on Caleb. He's suspected of serious financial misdeeds at his marketing firm. I tilt my head back against the couch cushion, run my palm over my face, and let out a low laugh. You wanted excitement, Haley? Well, you got it. The question is, how far do I want to push this revenge? My phone buzzes on the coffee table. It's Brittany's name on the screen. She's texted me sporadically since Haley left, usually with updates on how Haley's coping, or pleas for some kind of merciful gesture. She's always been Haley's friend first and foremost. I can't help feeling a sliver of resentment when I see her name. Yet I can't ignore her. She's a direct link to whatever Haley might be plotting. I tap the phone open. Brittany, 7:42 p.m. Hey, Julian, can we meet? I'm worried about Haley. She's in a bad spot. I'd really like to talk face-to-face. I stare at the text, weighing my response. Part of me wants to leave it on read. Another part knows curiosity might help me glean some crucial information. I type back, Julian. All right. Your call tonight or tomorrow? She replies instantly. Brittany, tonight if you can. I'm finishing a shift at the hospital around 9. Maybe we can grab coffee near 65th. Oh right, I recall she's a nurse's aide or something at one of the local clinics. I check my watch. 7:45. If I meet her at 9:30 or so, that's feasible. Might as well get it done. Julian. Sure. 9:30 at Java Bean on 65th. A moment later, Brittany. Thanks, see you then. I exhale and toss my phone aside. Part of me wonders if I'm stepping into a pity party. But I decide it's worth hearing her out. If Haley's in a bad spot, that might mean she's desperate. Desperate people can be unpredictable. A little after 9, I'm driving down the semi-busy streets, the bright Manhattan lights glaring through the windshield. Rain begins to trickle, turning the sidewalks glossy. The coffee shop Brittany mentioned is small and well-lit, one of those cozy nooks that tries to mimic a living room vibe. I park on a side street, jog through the drizzle, and duck inside. The smell of espresso envelops me. Brittany's not here yet, so I find a corner booth. My reflection in the window is tired, older. Maybe the last few weeks have carved new lines into my face. Shortly, the door jingles. Brittany steps in, hair slightly damp, wearing scrubs under a light jacket. She spots me, musters a half smile, and heads over. Hey, she greets softly, sliding into the seat across from me. Thanks for coming. I nod, deciding to maintain a neutral tone. Sure. You want coffee? She eyes the barista, then nods. Decaf latte, maybe. I'll grab it myself. No, I'll get it. I stand to place the order, part politeness, part habit. Moments later, I'm back with a decaf latte for her and a black coffee for me. She warms her hands around the paper cup. I appreciate it, she murmurs. Then she looks up, meeting my gaze. So I guess I'll jump right in. I brace myself. Go ahead. Brittany sighs. Haley's not doing well. She's got nowhere stable to live, she can't find a new job, and from what she told me last time we talked, she and Caleb are on the rocks. A spark of dark satisfaction flickers in my chest. They're having issues? Good. Outwardly, I keep my face impassive. That's unfortunate for her, but not surprising. She brought it on herself. She nods. Yeah, I get it. You're mad and you have every right to be. She hesitates. The thing is, she's borderline suicidal, Julian. I'm concerned she might hurt herself. My stomach tightens. That's heavier than I expected. Did she say anything specific? Something along the lines of, I have no reason to keep going. I ruined my life and now no one cares. She's isolated, depressed. Brittany's voice wavers. I'm not sure if she's serious or if it's a cry for help, but it scared me. An uneasy hush settles. I shift in my seat. For all her betrayals, do I want that weight on my conscience? My anger and bitterness are strong, but the idea of her actually harming herself makes me feel unsettled. I clear my throat. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not her caretaker anymore. If she's suicidal, she should get professional help, check into therapy, or a hospital. Or maybe you can encourage her to go back to Linda in Florida. Brittany rubs her forehead. She said Linda doesn't have the means to take her in. Linda's living with an older relative, not much space. And Haley's broke. I sip my coffee, letting the bitterness settle on my tongue. Look, I can't let her manipulate me with guilt. This might be a ploy. You know how she can be. She nods grudgingly. True. Still, if it's not a ploy, I'd hate for something irreversible to happen. I set down my mug, leaning forward. What do you want from me, Brittany? She hesitates. I guess I was hoping you'd at least talk to her. Maybe ensure she's not completely alone. Offer a bit of financial help if you can. Just so she can find a decent place to stay that isn't some seedy motel. Then she can stabilize and figure out her next steps. I feel a spike of annoyance. So you're effectively asking me for a handout? To my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife? Brittany cringes. I know how it sounds, but look, you used to love her, and she's in such a bad headspace. I press my lips together. I get that, but the betrayal's too deep. I can't just become her safety net. Her eyes glimmer with sympathy or frustration. I'm not saying move her back in. I'm just saying maybe an act of basic compassion, so she doesn't do something drastic. The swirl of emotions in me is staggering anger, pity, residual heartbreak. If I do help her, even minimally, will that open the door for more manipulations? Or is it the right thing to do to keep her from the brink of self-harm? I let out a long exhale. Let me think about it. Brittany offers a soft, relieved smile. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. We lapse into silence. The overhead lights buzz faintly. I realize how exhausted I am dealing with lawyers, the heartbreak, the swirl of daily life. Eventually, I ask, what about Caleb? Isn't she living with him? She shakes her head. No, he basically bailed. Something about an investigation at his job. She implied they had a huge fight, and he's ghosting her. I smirk internally. So the perfect romance is crumbling. Out loud, I just say, figures. We wrap up soon after. I walk Brittany out into the light drizzle. She thanks me again for listening, then heads off to the subway. I stand there for a moment staring at her departing figure. Then I climb into my car, letting the wipers swish across the windshield. My thoughts linger on Haley's potential meltdown. Is she truly suicidal, or is this yet another manipulative tactic? If she did harm herself, would I be able to live with that guilt? I grip the steering wheel and exhale. I shouldn't care. But a small voice inside me reminds me that, for better or worse, she was once the center of my life. A wave of resentment collides with a pang of pity. Damn it, I mutter to no one. I decide I'll talk with Elaine tomorrow. Maybe there's a minimal settlement arrangement that won't sabotage the prenup but might let Haley rent a shabby studio, something that keeps her from extremes. I still want her to suffer consequences for her betrayal, but I don't want her to literally die. I start the car, pulling away from the curb. The city lights blur through the rain-swept glass, merging with the swirl of my conflicted thoughts. The next morning, I email Elaine. Subject, minimal financial settlement? Elaine, hypothetically, is there a way to give Haley a small allowance or one-time sum, purely at my discretion, without undermining the prenup or setting a precedent for spousal support? She's apparently in dire straits, and I'm not a complete monster, but I also don't want to sabotage my legal position. Julian. Her response arrives an hour later. Subject, minimal financial settlement. Julian, technically, yes. We can craft a separate agreement, a one-time goodwill payment, with strict language stating it's voluntary, not an admission of liability, nor a spousal support precedent. Let me know if you want to proceed. Elaine. I rub my jaw, weighing the idea. If it helps me sleep at night, and if it prevents some tragic meltdown, maybe it's worth it. But I can't just hand Haley the money. I want conditions that ensure she can't come crawling back for more. Fine, I'll do it. Let's keep it strictly business. I meet Elaine for a late lunch near my office. We finalize a document that states I'll offer Haley a modest lump sum enough for a couple months' rent in a passable neighborhood, but with a watertight clause specifying that she relinquishes all further claims. After signing, I glance at Elaine. Do I have to hand it to her personally? She shrugs. We can direct transfer or write a cashier's check. Probably simpler to do it electronically. Then your only direct contact is through email, if that. I nod. Let's do that. Then I hesitate. One more thing. Is there any risk that she tries to claim I'm acknowledging wrongdoing or that this payment is hush money or anything like that? Elaine shakes her head. Not if we phrase it carefully. This is purely ex gratia, no strings attached, no admission of wrongdoing. We'll be crystal clear. Good. I exhale. Let's proceed. As we leave the restaurant, she pats my shoulder gently. You're going above and beyond for someone who cheated on you. Don't second guess if you want to revoke it. I manage a tight smile. No, this is purely to keep her from self-destructing, that's all. A couple days later, I get confirmation from the bank that Haley's one-time deposit has gone through. I shoot her a brief email. Haley, I've authorized a one-time payment to your account. The attached agreement states it doesn't affect our divorce terms or the prenup outcome. I'm only doing this so you can secure a place to live and not end up on the street. Please sign and return promptly. Julian. I expect some frantic reply or maybe a call. Instead, she's silent. The next day, though, I receive a short email. Julian, thank you for this. I signed. Haley. No emotional pleas, no manipulative sweet talk. Just 2 sentences. I'm oddly relieved. At least now she has no excuse to claim total destitution. She might still hate me, but that's fine. Hate me from a distance, in your own place. The next 2 weeks pass in a slow, jarring rhythm. I bury myself in new projects. My father, who knows only the bare bones of the situation, calls occasionally to check on me. He's not a warm, cuddly type, but he does offer a terse, "Hope you're doing okay, son." Chad's updates about Caleb amuse me in a grim way. His firm is intensifying the fraud investigation. The rumor mill says he might be suspended soon, if not fired. Meanwhile, I hear nothing from Caleb directly. Maybe he's too busy scrambling to save his job. One evening, I log onto a social media site I rarely check. I see that Haley changed her profile picture to something neutral, just a scenic photo. She's posted a cryptic status about starting over, learning from mistakes. The comments are minimal, mostly from casual acquaintances telling her to keep her chin up. I feel nothing but mild scorn. She's probably fishing for sympathy. Still, the days remain tinged with a hollow ache. I can't deny the sense of loss. After all, despite everything, we shared years together. But each time that ache surfaces, I recall her texts with Caleb, the photos of them sneaking around. That reignites my anger, smothering any nostalgia. Late one afternoon, I'm sitting at my desk, scrolling through emails, when my door opens and Chad strolls in. He waves off my assistant's attempt to stop him. I raise an eyebrow. "You could have called first." He smirks. "I was in the neighborhood, got big news. Figured I'd deliver it personally." I gesture for him to sit. "Shoot." He settles into the chair, crossing one ankle over his knee. Caleb's firm fired him, officially. They suspect he falsified expense reports and pocketed thousands, possibly a more serious charge if the DA picks it up. A jolt of satisfaction zips through me. "So the House of Cards is collapsing?" Chad nods. "Yes, big time. He's basically blackballed in the marketing industry now. He might have to leave town or try an entirely new field." I lean back, exhaling. "Karma's real, it seems." Chad shrugs. "Seems so. Also, I heard he tried to call Haley last week, maybe to crash at her place. But she apparently told him to screw off. So they're done." He arches a brow. Not that it matters, but interesting twist. "Indeed." I rub my temple. She's probably furious at him for vanishing when she needed him. Typical. "Anyway, I wanted you to know, in case he tries to harass you again." Chad stands, stretching his arms. "Any additional moves you want to make to drive the nail in deeper?" I grin, a humorless grin. For now, I'm content to watch him self-destruct. But if he crosses me, we have enough ammo to bury him further. Chad claps my shoulder. "Roger that. You did good, man. A lot of guys would lose their heads. You played it smart." A flicker of pride stirs in me. "Thanks. I appreciate all your help." He nods and leaves. I stare out the window at the Manhattan skyline, feeling an odd mixture of triumph and emptiness. Caleb ruined my marriage, but I ruined his livelihood. Now we're even? Maybe, but I still want more closure. I close my eyes, letting the moment sink in. At least this war is nearing its final act. That night, after a draining day, I crack open a bottle of bourbon at home. I watch the city lights flicker through my living room window. My phone glows with a message from Brittany again. I sigh, open it. Brittany. "Hey, if you're free, can we chat? Something about Haley." I debate ignoring it. Curiosity wins. Julian. "Call if you want." Moments later, my phone rings. Brittany's voice filters through the line. "Julian, sorry, I know it's late." "It's fine," I reply, sipping my drink. "What's up now?" She exhales. Haley told me she got some money from you. She's renting a small studio, barely furnished, but at least it's not the motel. She sounded grateful in her own awkward way. I grunt in acknowledgement. Brittany continues, but she's still depressed. She's been drinking a lot. I think she's ashamed she had to accept your help. She kind of hates that she needs it. Not my problem, I say, though I feel a twinge of something. Maybe guilt, maybe pity. Brittany hesitates. I know. Just wanted you to know she's not out partying or anything. She's basically cooped up, wallowing in regret. I swirl my bourbon. If she's truly remorseful, good for her. It doesn't fix what she did. Brittany sighs. Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's the update. I didn't want you to think she's blowing your money on some crazy spree. Thanks for letting me know, I say quietly. We hang up and I stare at the city again. She's alone, drowning in her own mistakes. Part of me is relieved, part is uneasy. I recall that precarious balance between wanting my vengeance and not wanting her to literally ruin herself. Finally, I drain my glass and whisper to the empty room, choices have consequences, Haley. You made yours. Then I head to bed, hoping sleep will come easily. We're a month into the separation when I realize I'm still living in a half-Haley environment. Her decorative pillows remain on the couch. Her old mug collection crowds the kitchen cabinet. The bedroom closet holds a few stray boxes of her old magazines. I've been too emotionally exhausted to purge it all, but on a bright Saturday morning, something shifts in me. I wake up, glance around the bedroom, and see her leftover trinkets. A dusty yoga mat, a half-used candle. Suddenly, I can't stand it. I leap out of bed, rummage for cardboard boxes, and start piling all her remnants inside. Each item is a jolt of memory. Midway through the process, the door buzzer sounds. I answer through the intercom. Yes? An apologetic male voice replies, hi, package delivery for Harrington? I buzz him in. A minute later, I open the door. The delivery guy hands me a small box. It's addressed to Haley. Must be an automated subscription she forgot to cancel. I sign for it, shut the door, and stare at the label. Should I toss it or send it to her new address? I sigh, rummaging for my phone. I type a text to Brittany. Do you have Haley's current address? She's still getting mail here. She replies with the address in Midtown. Good. I'll mail it there, or maybe I can drop it off in person. No, that's stupid. That might open drama. I decide to ship it. But the presence of her name on that label triggers another wave of irritation. Haley, even in absentia, is complicating my morning. I toss the box aside, continuing my purge. By noon, I've filled 2 large boxes with her stuff. I stack them in a corner. I'll figure out what to do with them. Maybe I'll dump them or ask Chad to deliver. My phone buzzes again. Expecting Brittany, I glance at the screen, but see a number labeled unknown. I answer warily. Hello? A quiet female voice. Julian, it's me, Haley. My pulse jumps. I swallow. Hi, you got my new number? She exhales. I actually called your old one, got forwarded. Guess you changed carriers. Anyway, sorry to bother you. I stand there, heart pounding. What is it? She hesitates. I realized I left some boxes at the condo magazines, a few personal keepsakes. Wondered if I could come by and grab them. I peer at the half-packed boxes. I'm literally packing them right now. A short silence. Oh. Then would it be okay if I drop by soon to pick them up? Or I can send Brittany if you prefer. My mind races. My first instinct is to keep her away, but perhaps it's simpler if she just takes them. All right, I finally say. Come around 3 p.m., but I've got errands, so keep it short. Thank you, she murmurs. I sense relief in her tone. See you then. And Julian, thanks again for the money. I signed the forms. I promise I won't ask for more. I swallow. Okay, bye. Then I hang up, leaning against the wall. Great. So Haley's stepping foot in this condo again. A swirl of nerves tangles in my gut, but I remind myself, we're not a couple. This is just retrieval of junk. Then she leaves. By 2:45, I'm a bundle of tension. I shower, dress in casual jeans and a shirt, and hurry around the condo, ensuring it looks presentable. Not out of wanting to impress her, just out of some reflexive anxiety. I set the 2 boxes by the door, label them in marker. Haley's stuff. Then I wait. And wait. My gaze keeps straying to the clock, heart picking up speed. It's insane how this woman can still unnerve me. At 3:10, the buzzer rings. I press the intercom button. Yes, her voice, soft but audible. It's me. I open the door. Seconds later, she appears in the hallway. She's thinner than I remember, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, wearing a loose sweater and faded jeans. No makeup, dark circles under her eyes. She looks older in a way. The spark of arrogance or charm she used to carry is gone. We stare at each other for a moment, then I step aside. Come in. Haley steps in gingerly, eyes flicking around as if half expecting me to lash out. The condo's layout is unchanged except for the boxes I prepared. She sets her purse down, clasping her hands. Thanks, she repeats. I know this is awkward. I shrug, folding my arms. Your boxes are here, I say, gesturing. We can carry them to your car, or I can do it if you prefer. She nods. Sure. That's them? Yes. Just random stuff you left behind. I shift uncomfortably, aware of how close we're standing. The memory of her betrayal flickers in my mind, fueling a mix of anger and sadness. She steps forward, peeking into the top box. Yeah, these are old letters, some photos, my yoga DVDs. God, I left so much clutter. Silence stretches. Finally, I blurt, Do you have a place to keep them? She lifts her gaze, eyes wide with an emotion I can't read. Yes, I found a small studio. It's not great, but it's livable. At least it's my own space. I nod curtly. Good. She sighs, brushing her hand through her hair. Julian, about the money. Don't! I cut in sharply. I said it was a one-time gesture. Don't read too much into it. She looks stung. I know. I'm not asking for more. I appreciate it. You didn't have to. A swirl of conflicting feelings hits me. Let's just get these boxes to your car, I say. Then we're done, okay? She nods, swallowing. All right. We each grab a box. It's not heavy, but the tension between us weighs a ton. We step into the hallway, ride the elevator in strained silence, stepping out to the street. She parked a small beat-up sedan, one I don't recognize. Probably a cheap used car she scraped money for. We load the boxes into the trunk. Finally, I step back, dusting off my hands. She closes the trunk, turns to me. That's everything, right? I nod. Yep. She hesitates, shifting from foot to foot. So how are you? The question is loaded with all the regrets and sadness in her eyes. I cross my arms, glancing away. I'm managing, busy with work, doing better than I was a month ago. She nods slowly. I'm glad, she whispers. She glances at me with watery eyes. Julian, I know it's too late to fix anything. But I want you to know I'm sorry, deeply sorry, for everything. If I could undo it, I lift a hand, stopping her. Stop! We're past that point. It doesn't change what happened. A tear slips down her cheek. Right, sorry. I stand there grappling with a flicker of empathy. A wave of old memories threatens to surface our wedding day. The laughter, the dreams. I bury it. Take care of yourself, Haley, that's all I can say. She closes her eyes, a tear rolling down. I'll try. Then she glances at me one last time. Goodbye. Without waiting for a response, she slips into the driver's seat. The engine sputters to life, and she pulls away from the curb. I watch her go, a hollow ache in my chest. That's the last time I'll see her, I hope. Slowly, I return to my building. The doorman nods politely, unaware of the emotional storm roiling in me. I slip into the elevator, exhaling sharply. She's broken, and it's partially my doing. But I remind myself, she caused this by cheating. Back in the condo, I notice how the space already feels lighter, emptier, but in a good way. All that remains is me, my own world. The rest is locked firmly behind me. The weekend passes in a contemplative haze. I reorganize my living area, put away some old pictures, yes, even wedding photos. They don't belong on display anymore. For a moment, I consider shredding them or tossing them, but I decide to stick them in a box labeled Past Life, storing them in the closet. Maybe I'll burn them eventually, or maybe I'll keep them as a cautionary tale. I do some cleaning, rearranging. In the process, I discover a letter from Haley's mother, Linda, wedged behind a stack of cookbooks. It must be from earlier this year. I debate reading it, my curiosity wins. Inside are typical motherly updates, a casual mention that Haley seems restless. I smirk bitterly. If only Linda had known how restless her daughter would become. On Monday, I dive headlong into work. My biggest client, a tech startup, is finalizing a major funding round. The office buzzes with tension. My colleagues notice I'm more focused than usual, maybe channeling personal angst into the job. My boss, Donovan, calls me into his glass-walled office. He sets aside a stack of papers, folding his hands. "Julian, how are you holding up? I heard you've been going through personal issues." He must have overheard rumors. I keep my expression neutral. "I'm all right. Focused on delivering results, sir." He nods, studying me. "You've been working harder than ever, which is great for the firm. Just remember to take care of yourself, too." I flash a brief smile. "Appreciate the concern, but I'm fine, really." He eyes me a moment longer, then dismisses me. I walk out, forcing away the flicker of emotional exhaustion. I can't let heartbreak sabotage my career. That's one arena I control. That evening, as I drive home, Chad calls. I pick up, hooking it to my car's speaker. "Julian, how's it going?" he asks. "Same old. You?" "I'm good. Listen, I've been hearing rumors Caleb's been spotted in some shady circles. Folks say he's desperate for money, might be borrowing from questionable lenders." I tighten my grip on the wheel. "Sounds messy. I guess that's not my problem unless he tries to come after me or Haley." "Right," Chad agrees. "But just be aware. Desperate men do desperate things. If he's in deep with loan sharks or something, he might lash out." A swirl of concern. "Understood. Thanks for the heads up. Keep me posted." After the call ends, I navigate the city streets, headlights gleaming off wet asphalt. The notion of a cornered Caleb roving around, possibly looking for scapegoats or money, unsettles me. But I trust Chad's readiness if trouble arises. The next day, Elaine invites me for lunch at a bistro near her law office. I find her already seated, tapping away on her tablet. When I join her, she sets it aside. "Julian," she greets, smiling. "Got good news regarding the final divorce settlement." I raise my brows. "Oh," she nods. "Haley's side has agreed to all terms. No spousal support, no share of your assets. The official decree is being processed. Within a few weeks, you'll be legally divorced." A breath of relief escapes me. Finally. She sips her water. "That's the big step. You'll be single, free to start fresh." I swirl my own glass. "Start fresh. Right." I exhale. It feels weird, but I guess it's what I wanted. Elaine nods sympathetically. "You've endured a lot these past months. You deserve closure." We place our food orders. Then I muster the courage to ask, "Have you heard anything else about Haley's personal situation?" Elaine arches a brow. "Not from her lawyer, no. That side basically went quiet after we gave them that one-time sum arrangement. All seems resolved." I nod slowly, a pang of leftover guilt lingering. But I push it aside. "All right then, let's finalize it." She gives me a reassuring smile. "Consider it done." We switch topics to less personal matters, her firm, my work. My appetite is lukewarm, overshadowed by the swirl of finality in my mind. In a few weeks, I'll be a free man. As the days roll on, I occasionally wonder if I'll run into Haley randomly on the street or at some store. Manhattan is big, but not that big. However, she remains absent from my daily reality. No calls, no messages. Brittany updates me once in a while. "Haley's coping. Not great, but stable." Or, "She asked me about therapy." I respond with polite disinterest. Caleb remains a ghost in my life, though Chad's tidbits paint a picture of a man spiraling fired, blacklisted, possibly in debt, scrounging for new opportunities. Good riddance. Every detail of his downfall soothes a corner of my wounded pride. Sometimes, late at night, I'm seized by restlessness. The condo feels empty, sure, but also free of deceit. I remind myself that solitude is far better than living with a liar. One Saturday, after finishing an intense conference call with West Coast clients, I decide to do something uncharacteristic. I venture out to a bar alone. I'm not exactly in the mood to party, but I want to break the monotony of lonely evenings at home. I pick a relatively classy lounge near Midtown. Dim lighting, jazz music, a scattering of well-dressed patrons sipping cocktails. I find a seat at the bar, order an old-fashioned, and let the low hum of conversation envelop me. About half an hour in, a woman slides onto the stool beside me, glossy brown hair, elegant blazer, mid-30s. She offers a polite nod. Evening. I return the nod. Hi. She motions to the bartender, orders a gin and tonic, then glances at me. Quiet night, huh? I shrug, swirling the melting ice in my glass. Yeah, guess so. A small smile touches her lips. You look like you're miles away. Work stress or life? I raise my brows, a bit surprised by her directness. Then I give a short laugh. Life, mostly. She extends a hand. I'm Melanie. I shake it. Julian. We fall into a light conversation. Turns out she's involved in a startup incubator, somewhat tangential to my field. She asks me about my consulting work. I keep it vague but polite. The exchange feels surprisingly easy, a welcome distraction. After a while, she mentions a friend's upcoming art show, and I pretend mild interest. A flicker of normalcy tugs at me. It's nice to talk to someone who doesn't know my personal drama, but inevitably she picks up on something in my demeanor. You seem a bit heavy-hearted, she notes softly. I wave a dismissive hand. Just ended a marriage, or in the process. She gives a sympathetic nod. I'm sorry to hear that. It's for the best, I say, an edge creeping into my voice. Anyway, enough about me. Your startup, what's the biggest challenge? She laughs, letting me steer the conversation. We chat for another half hour, sipping our respective drinks. The bar's background jazz sets an intimate vibe. For a fleeting moment, I wonder if this is how one starts to move on casual conversation with a stranger, forging a new path. Eventually, Melanie pays her tab, rummaging in her purse. It was nice meeting you, Julian. If you ever want to compare notes on business or just vent about life, here's my card. She slides a sleek business card across the bar. I accept it with a wry grin. Thanks. Might just take you up on that. She departs, leaving behind a subtle perfume and the sense of possibility. I stare at her card for a long moment. Melanie B. Carter, entrepreneur, Carter and Company Incubator. I tuck it into my pocket, heart still drumming from the unexpected encounter. Maybe, just maybe, life after Haley can include new faces, new beginnings. I head home that night feeling marginally lighter. I'm not naive enough to think I'm healed, but at least I glimpsed the notion that not every woman is going to cheat on me. Some might even be decent. Back in the condo, I notice my reflection in the mirror, my posture less slumped, my expression less haunted. I smirk at myself. Okay, Julian. Maybe you're not done for. Then I get a text from Brittany. Just letting you know Haley's been quiet. She asked me to return your old house key, which she found in a coat pocket. I'll drop it off to you soon. I snort softly. At least she's giving the key back. Another final thread severed. Good. I type back, sure, drop it whenever. As I place my phone aside, I reflect on the difference between my night's pleasant conversation with Melanie and the toxic dynamic that ended my marriage. I used to think Haley and I were unstoppable, I recall with a bitter pang. Now I see how illusions shatter. I close my eyes, letting the day's fatigue wash over me. There's a long road ahead, but it's a road I'm walking alone, and that might be the best thing that's happened to me in ages. Over the next week, I find my mind drifting to that bar conversation. I consider emailing or texting Melanie, maybe just to keep the connection alive. But each time, I stop short, uncertain if I'm truly ready to explore anything new. My heart is still tender, scabbed over from fresh wounds. Meanwhile, the divorce finalization date inches closer. Elaine says it should be official within days. In many ways, I can't wait to slam that door shut. In other ways, I dread the last vestige of my old life falling away. But that's the shape of my existence, now poised between relief and lingering sorrow, forging ahead, step by step. One crisp Thursday morning, my phone rings before dawn. I jolt awake, fumbling for it. The screen displays Chad's name. My stomach clenches. Why is he calling so early? I answer groggily. Chad? What's going on? His voice crackles with urgency. Julian, you awake? Something happened with Caleb last night. Instantly, I'm alert. What about Caleb? Chad exhales. He got in a fight at some bar, apparently over money. Rumor is he was beaten up pretty bad. Some folks say he tried to flee but ended up at a hospital. Word on the street is he's in deep trouble with certain shady characters. I rub my eyes, processing. So the scumbag's spiraling further. And why do I need to know this? Chad's tone tightens. Because when people like him get desperate, they might do desperate things. Like blame you, or try to extort money, or blame Haley. I just want you to be aware in case he shows up or tries something. I swallow. All right, thanks for the heads up. Let me know if you hear more. Will do. Sorry for the early call. Chad hangs up, leaving me unsettled. I flop back onto my pillow, wide awake. Caleb's meltdown continues. Not that I pity him, but I do wonder if he'll lash out at me or Haley. Or maybe he's too busy running from his own mess. Eventually, I rise, brew some coffee, and remind myself that I've orchestrated enough security measures to handle him if he tries anything. Maybe this is karma playing out. The day unfolds normally until mid-afternoon when Haley calls. I stare at her name on my screen, tension coiling. She rarely calls directly now. I answer warily. Yes? She sounds shaken. Julian, hi. Sorry to bother you. My mind flashes to Chad's info about Caleb. What is it, Haley? She takes a deep breath. Caleb tried contacting me. He's in some hospital, said he got into serious trouble. He's been threatening to blame me for some financial issues at his old firm, like implying I helped him or something. Her voice trembles. It's insane. I had no part in his illegal stuff. I exhale slowly. He's bluffing. If he had actual evidence, we'd have heard by now. She sniffs. I know, but I'm scared. He says he's desperate, that if I don't help him with money, he'll drag me into his mess. A wave of anger surges. He's extorting you? I guess so, she whispers, voice trembling. He's basically telling me, if you don't bail me out, I'll tell the authorities you were in on it. I wasn't, of course. We never did anything but personal stuff. She chokes a humorless laugh. But I'm worried he can spin it. I rub my forehead, the headache building. Haley, calm down. He can spin it all he wants, but there's no proof. She sniffles. That's what I keep telling myself. But he's persistent. He keeps calling, leaving voicemails. I scowl. Damn, Caleb. Block his number. If he escalates, we can talk to Elaine or the police. You have nothing to fear if you truly had no part in his fraud. She exhales shakily. Okay, right. I just wanted to let you know in case he tries to contact you too. My jaw tightens. So far, no calls from him, but thanks for the warning. A beat passes. Then she says softly, Julian, I'm sorry you're even roped into hearing this. I know how you must feel about me, but I didn't know who else to call. I swallow the bitterness. It's fine. Just be careful. Don't let him manipulate you again. Her voice quivers. I won't. Thank you. I hang up, heart pounding. Caleb's cornered and he's lashing out. I open my office drawer, retrieving Chad's business card. Maybe it's time for him to dig deeper, ensure Caleb has no real means to frame Haley or me. After finishing a few client calls, I phone Chad with an update. He's harassing Haley now, threatening to drag her into his mess. She's worried. Chad clicks his tongue. I suspected he might pull that stunt. Let me do some checking. He's probably bluffing, but I'll verify if he's told the cops anything. I exhale. Thanks. She's blocking him. I just want to be sure he can't cause legal trouble. Chad snorts. He's a known liar and a sinking ship. I doubt any official entity will believe him without concrete proof, but I'll confirm. I end the call, feeling the tension coiled in my shoulders. I can't believe we're still dealing with Caleb's toxicity. The next day, Chad confirms that no formal charges involve Haley. She's in the clear. That evening, I text Haley a curt reassurance. Chad verified you're not under investigation. Caleb is bluffing. Just block him. She replies, Thank you, I already did. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. H. A part of me wants to respond with anger. You dragged me into everything the moment you cheated, but I let it go. Enough drama for now. Days pass. My divorce finalization date arrives. Elaine calls with the official word, The judge signed off. You're legally divorced. I stare at my phone, the sense of finality crashing over me. That's it then. She offers a gentle congratulation. It's over. You're free. I'll mail you a certified copy. Hang in there. After I hang up, I lean back in my office chair, letting the reality sink in. I'm divorced. No longer married to Haley. Relief wrestles with the pang of heartbreak. But mostly, it feels like a heavy door has shut behind me. I decide to allow myself a small celebration, maybe dinner at a nice restaurant. I text Chad an invite. He agrees to meet after work. That evening, Chad and I settle into a corner booth at a steakhouse. The atmosphere is subdued. Low lighting, the clink of glasses, quiet conversation from other patrons. We order steaks, a bottle of good whiskey. He raises his glass. Here's to the official end of your marriage. Finally. I clink my glass with his, swallowing a generous sip. The liquor burns down my throat, warming my chest. Yeah, finally. Chad eyes me. So how do you really feel, man? Relieved, sad, angry? A wry smirk tugs at my lips. All of the above. It's been such a roller coaster. But now that the dust's settling, I mostly feel empty, like I need to figure out what's next. He nods knowingly. Makes sense. You lost a big piece of your life. Even if it was toxic in the end, it's a loss. I swirl my glass. Right. A quiet moment passes. Then I add, I might contact that woman I met at a bar, Melanie. She gave me her card. She seemed interesting. Chad's eyes gleam. That's good. Move on. See what's out there. Just do it at your own pace. I grin faintly. No rush, but yeah. Feels like I should at least consider normal social contact, not just bury myself in work. Chad lifts his glass for another toast. Exactly. Here's to a fresh start. No more baggage from Haley, and especially not from Caleb. We toast again. After the meal, I feel loosened by whiskey, and Chad's easy banter lifts my spirits. This is what a friend is for, to remind you there's life after heartbreak. In the following days, I adapt to the label divorced. Some people at work ask politely if I'm okay, hinting they heard the final news. I nod, shrug, say, it's handled. It's an open secret around the office, but no one pries too deeply, thank God. I do reach out to Melanie, sending a short email. Hi, it's Julian from the bar. Wondered if you'd like to grab coffee sometime. She replies within a day, friendly yet not overly forward. We set a casual lunch date. Meanwhile, Haley drifts into the background of my life. She's no longer legally tethered to me. A part of me wonders how she's coping, but I squash that curiosity. I need to keep boundaries. One afternoon, Brittany texts me, we should meet, I have something to tell you about Haley. I sigh, rolling my eyes at the idea of more drama, but I grudgingly agree, and we set a time at a nearby cafe. She arrives looking tired, her hair in a messy bun. We get our drinks and sit at a small round table in the back. I lean forward. So what's this about? Brittany wrings her hands. Haley got served with a subpoena, something about Caleb's finances. He apparently told investigators he gave her gifts, or that they had some joint account. I stiffen. That's not exactly surprising. He's trying to drag her down with him. She nods. Right. Haley swears she had no account with him, that any gifts were purely personal. But the investigators are checking everything. She's freaked out, worried about legal fees. I sip my coffee, letting the frustration settle. So basically, she might need a lawyer to prove she wasn't complicit in his fraud. And she's broke. Brittany grimaces. Yes. She asked me if I thought you'd help or if your lawyer friend would represent her. A bitter laugh escapes me. She's delusional if she thinks I'd do that. She flushes. I know. I told her it was a long shot, but she's desperate. I shake my head. She can find a public defender or something. Why would I risk my resources to defend my cheating ex-wife from accusations that stem from her affair? Brittany looks pained. I get it. I really do. I just said I'd pass the message. She's terrified of being roped into Caleb's meltdown. I lean back, crossing my arms. She made her bed with him. Now the fallout is real. Brittany sighs. You're right. I won't push. She hesitates. But if you have any suggestions, maybe a cheap lawyer referral? My anger softens slightly. Maybe she's truly cornered, but I keep my resolve. I'll think about it, but I won't pay her legal fees. Brittany nods, finishing her coffee. That's all I can ask. And trust me, I hate seeing her like this. She's basically a shell of who she was. I force a half smile. Actions have consequences, right? We end the conversation shortly after. On the drive home, I can't shake the uneasy feeling. Could this blow back on me if the investigators think Haley and I had some joint finances? No, our accounts were separate. Still, I make a mental note to inform Elaine just in case. That evening, I email Elaine. Elaine, heads up. Haley was subpoenaed in connection with Caleb's fraud. He claims he gave her money or they had some joint account. She's panicking. It doesn't affect me directly, right? Julian Elaine responds quickly. Julian, unlikely it affects you, since you had separate finances per the prenup, and we can prove that. But keep me posted if anything arises. If Haley needs representation, she'll have to seek her own counsel. Elaine. I nod in satisfaction. So I'm safe. Haley's on her own. I decide to put it out of my mind. Her life, her choices. I'm done playing the savior. She can handle it or crumble. I have my own path to follow now. A few days later, I meet Melanie for lunch at a trendy cafe near her incubator. She greets me warmly, wearing a smart blazer and a confident smile. We chat about business, swirl into personal territory lightly. She mentions a past relationship that ended amicably. I hint at my recent divorce, but don't dwell on it. Something about her manner is refreshing, straightforward, no hidden drama. We laugh about the city's rent prices, her complicated negotiation with a new investor, my recent pivot in consulting. The tension that used to weigh on me around women feels lifted, at least in this moment. She asks, "How are you adjusting to single life? Or is that too personal?" I grin wryly. It's complicated, but I'm managing. Let's just say I'm glad to be out of a toxic situation. Her eyes gleam with empathy. Got it. Well, sometimes stepping away from the wrong environment is exactly what we need to flourish. I sense a current of unspoken understanding. Maybe she's been there too. We wrap up lunch and she casually suggests we meet again. I agree. The idea of forging a new connection feels surprisingly okay. That night, alone in my condo, I reflect on how surreal it is that life can shift from heartbreak to cautious optimism. Haley is out there, drowning in legal woes and regret. Caleb is battered and cornered. Meanwhile, I'm slowly rebuilding. There's a part of me that wonders if I should feel guilty for moving on while she's sinking. But then I recall her betrayal, the texts with Caleb, how she crushed my trust. No, she made her bed. I'm not responsible for saving her from it. I pour myself a celebratory glass of wine, stand by the window watching the city shimmer. I'm free now, divorced and stepping into something new. The sense of liberation buoys me. I whisper into the quiet, "Here's to freedom and a second chance." Then I take a sip, letting the taste linger on my tongue. Yes, a second chance, something Haley will have to find for herself, if she can. A crisp morning sunlight filters through my curtains, nudging me awake earlier than usual. It's been exactly 5 weeks since my divorce was finalized, and I'm gradually settling into a new routine: morning runs, quiet evenings, sporadic dinners or drinks with Chad, an occasional text exchange with Melanie. I brew coffee, flip on the local news. Just as I settle on the couch, my phone buzzes. It's Haley. My mood sours. After a moment, I answer. "Yes?" Her voice is trembling. "Julian, I'm sorry. I know calling you is wrong, but I'm out of options. I just received a letter from the district attorney's office. They want me to testify against Caleb. They think I have knowledge of his finances. I don't really, but apparently they found my name on some transactions he made. They suspect he transferred funds to me." I pinch the bridge of my nose. "Did he?" She sounds frantic. "No. I mean, he bought me gifts occasionally, paid for a few outings, but there was never any large-scale deposit into my accounts." I sigh. "Then tell the DA that. Show your bank statements. Elaine says you're in the clear if you never co-signed or accepted suspicious funds." Haley's breathing ragged. I know, it's just so overwhelming. I can't afford a top lawyer, and I cut her off, voice cool. "Look, you wanted me to know because—" She falters. "I guess I wanted advice, or maybe I hoped you'd ask your lawyer friend for a recommendation." An exasperated chuckle escapes me. "That's all? Fine. I'll see if Elaine can recommend a budget-friendly attorney. That's it. I'm not paying them, though." Her relief crackles through the line. "Thank you. That's all I ask. I'm sorry to drag you in. I don't want to end up in jail for something I didn't do." I roll my eyes. "You won't. Just cooperate, be honest." She sniffles. "Right. Thank you." I hang up, rubbing my temple. She's lucky I'm even picking up. But maybe it's a testament to the faint empathy I still harbor. That day, I relay the conversation to Elaine. She's amused but obliging, providing a short list of affordable legal aid specializing in financial crimes. I forward it to Haley with a blunt message. Per your request, don't contact me unless absolutely necessary. She replies with a simple, thank you, understood. I'm relieved to keep it minimal. She can handle the rest. I refocus on my job, burying myself in a major client presentation. Things with Melanie progress slowly, in a comfortable, no-pressure way. We meet again for coffee, chat about her incubator's progress, laugh over a silly anecdote from my consulting days. She asks politely about my previous marriage, and I reveal only the broad strokes: infidelity, heartbreak, divorce. She listens sympathetically but doesn't pry. I find that refreshing. On a Thursday evening, I invite her to a casual wine bar. She accepts. We spend the night sipping Pinot Noir, sharing snippets of personal histories. I enjoy how balanced it feels, no heavy drama, no hidden agenda. As we part, she leans in, giving me a soft kiss on the cheek. My heart flutters, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Am I truly ready for this? Maybe. The following day, Chad texts me, heads up, Caleb might be skipping town. Rumor has it he plans to avoid prosecution. I stare at the text, annoyance rising. If he flees, that spares us more drama, right? Chad, true, unless he tries some last-ditch scheme. Just watch your back. I respond with a curt, got it. Then I slip my phone away. Let him run, as long as he's gone. That evening, I receive an unexpected call from Linda, Haley's mother. I haven't spoken with her since the divorce. I debate ignoring it, but some part of me feels obligated. I answer, voice guarded. Linda, hi. She exhales. Julian, hello. I wanted to see how you're doing, and also if you've heard from Haley recently. I blink. We spoke briefly about her subpoena. Why? Linda sounds anxious. She told me she's struggling to cope, might testify against Caleb, but she's scared. She won't open up to me fully. I just hoped you'd have insight. I know you're divorced, but she trails off. My jaw clenches. My jaw. Why do these people think I have a caretaker role? I don't have more insight. She asked for a lawyer referral. I gave her one. That's it. Linda sighs. I see. I'm sorry if I'm overstepping. It's just tough being so far away, knowing she's in trouble. She hardly has any support up there. Bitterness rumbles in me. She forfeited support when she cheated. Linda's voice softens. I know, and I don't blame you for refusing help. I just hoped maybe you'd keep me posted if something dire happens. That's all. A spike of guilt tugs at me. Linda's mostly innocent in this fiasco. I understand. If something big happens, I'll let you know. But don't expect me to intervene. Linda murmurs gratitude. We hang up. I shake my head, letting out a frustrated sigh. What do they all want from me? She's not my responsibility. Another week slides by. Work demands intensify. I manage a new wave of client expansions. Elaine confirms that the final divorce paperwork has been recorded officially. No reversing that. I occasionally meet Melanie, sharing pleasant dinners or after-work drinks. No grand declarations, just a cautious exploration of connection. On a Friday night, she surprises me by inviting me to a small gallery opening. I accept. The event is lively but intimate. She introduces me to some art scene friends. I mingle politely. She slips her hand into mine at one point, and that small gesture feels monumental. As we step outside later, the city lights twinkling, she turns to me with a gentle smile. Thanks for coming. I know art galleries can be a bit out of left field, but I appreciate your open mind. I laugh softly. I enjoyed it, actually. It's a change from spreadsheets and conference calls. She tilts her head, studying me. You seem lighter than when I first met you. Happier. I consider that. Maybe I am. I guess letting go of old baggage helps. She squeezes my hand. Hope that continues. We part with a warm embrace, a promise to see each other soon. I can't deny the flicker of excitement. Am I allowed to be happy? Possibly, yes. The next day, as if the universe senses my fragile peace, I get a call from Chad with urgent news. Caleb's definitely skipping town. He's sold off some possessions quickly. Rumor says he's heading for the West Coast or maybe overseas. I grunt. Let him go. Good riddance. Unless he tries to drag me or Haley down further. Chad's voice is grim. He might. Some folks claim he's got files or blackmail material, possibly about clients or personal matters. Just be on guard. I feel a stab of unease. Any sign he specifically has something on me? No direct sign, Chad assures me, but I'll keep an ear to the ground. We hang up and I brood over the possibility that Caleb tries a last-ditch blackmail. He's threatened me before, but realistically, I have nothing to hide. If he tries forging documents, it would be easily disproved. Still, I can't shake the sense of foreboding. Desperate men do desperate things. I consider telling Haley. But no, she's not my concern. She might find out on her own anyway. Sure enough, Monday morning, Haley calls in a panic. Julian, sorry to bother you, but I got an anonymous text from an unknown number threatening to expose me for laundering money if I don't pay up. I suspect it's Caleb or someone connected to him. I'm terrified. I pinch the bridge of my nose. He's bluffing, Haley. You don't launder money, so he can't prove anything. She sounds on the brink of tears. I know, but he can fabricate stuff, right? I can't afford a legal battle. I blow out a breath. Then go to the police. Show them the text. This is extortion. They'll log it. She sniffs. I guess I should. God, this is so stressful. A wave of pity surfaces, but I clamp it down. Just do it. Don't pay him a dime, obviously. Yes, of course. She's quiet a moment. Julian, I really appreciate you taking these calls. I know you hate me, but... I interrupt softly. I don't hate you. I just have no desire to be in your life. But I also don't want you blackmailed. This is Caleb's last gasp. Don't fold. She lets out a shaky exhale. Thank you. I'll contact the police. We end the call. She's truly cornered, but I can't rescue her. She has to handle it. That same day, I update Chad on the new extortion texts. He confirms that many of Caleb's victims or ex-flings might be receiving similar threats. He's just throwing Hail Mary passes for quick cash, Chad remarks. Probably half are ignoring him. The rest might pay out of fear. I recall my initial heartbreak, how powerless I felt. Now, ironically, the one who caused me that agony is powerless himself. A twisted sense of justice. As the days pass, the tension from Caleb's threats fizzles. Haley calls to say she reported it. The police told her to keep any further messages. He never follows through, apparently. I suspect he slinks off into the shadows, pursuing some doomed plan to run. Chad hears rumors of him crossing state lines, maybe heading for Mexico. All I know is, I hope he stays gone. At work, people comment on my improved mood. I finalize a big deal for a tech client, reaping a hefty bonus. One evening, I decide to celebrate with Melanie, take her to a fancy restaurant overlooking the river. She arrives in a sleek black dress, confidence radiating, and for the first time in months, I feel genuinely excited about a date. Dinner is a whirlwind of conversation and laughter. We talk about everything from childhood memories to future ambitions. She mentions wanting to expand her incubator internationally. I mention possibly pivoting my consultancy to a more specialized niche. She asks if that means traveling. I say maybe. She grins, teasing, "If you need a partner in crime, I volunteer." Afterwards, we stroll along the water, hand in hand, the city skyline glittering. She glances up at me with a warmth that tugs at my chest. "You're not as guarded as before," she murmurs. I nod, exhaling softly. I'm learning to trust again, I guess. Baby steps. She leans her head on my shoulder. Good, because the world's too big and interesting to let heartbreak lock you away forever. The moment feels surreal, a sweet hush amidst city noise. I brush her hair aside, pressing a soft kiss to her temple. This is what it feels like to move on. As I drive home that night, I reflect on the journey so far. The searing betrayal, the cold revenge, the legal battles, the final divorce, the sense of freedom creeping in. Haley's predicament might not be over, but it's no longer my burden. Caleb's meltdown is a distant echo, overshadowed by my new path. I step into my condo, noticing how it feels truly mine now. No ghost of Haley's presence, no leftover illusions. Setting my keys on the kitchen counter, I breathe a deep sigh of contentment. This is what closure tastes like. The phone dings a message from Melanie. "Tonight was wonderful. Sleep well, Julian." I smile, replying, "You too, Melanie. Thank you." Then I gaze around the living room, recalling the day I confronted Haley, the night I found out about the affair. It's all behind me. I'm free. And for the first time in what feels like forever, I'm looking forward, not back. I wake up to a beam of pale sunlight slicing through the bedroom curtains, the faint hum of my alarm droning in the background. It's an ordinary Monday, yet my chest feels lighter than it has in months. Perhaps it's the knowledge that Caleb is on the run, effectively defanging his threats. Or maybe it's because, for the first time in a long time, my weekend was filled with genuine laughter. Melanie and I shared a quiet brunch, then a stroll through the farmer's market, sampling fresh pastries and sipping iced coffee as the city bustled around us. But there's also a flicker of tension that never fully leaves me. A corner of my mind remains on alert, anticipating some leftover bombshell from my marriage meltdown. Haley occasionally still calls about her legal tangles. Even though I keep my involvement minimal, her presence lingers like a ghost in the rafters. I rise, stretch, and wander to the kitchen. The condo is distinctly mine now. I've replaced old furniture, removed every trace of Haley's decor, and repainted walls in a crisp, muted gray. My place, my rules, free of deception. The coffee machine splutters to life, filling the air with a rich aroma. I smile to myself. A new day, a new era. By 9 a.m., I'm in the office, sifting through emails for a major client and energy startup looking to secure a round of funding. The phone rings. The caller ID reads Elaine. I pick up with mild curiosity. "Julian," she says in a tone that's half business, half excitement. "Hope I'm not interrupting." I lean back in my desk chair. "Not at all. What's up?" She clears her throat. "I've been in contact with Haley's new lawyer. Looks like they're building a defense for her upcoming testimony against Caleb. They subpoenaed some old bank statements, presumably to show no suspicious deposits from him." I arch an eyebrow. "You're telling me this because—" Elaine's voice softens. "Just a heads up. They might want a statement from you confirming that you and Haley always had separate bank accounts. It's straightforward. A quick piece of testimony or an affidavit." I let out a slow breath. "I mean, sure, that's factually correct. We kept separate finances." "Exactly. They're hoping that'll help exonerate her from any notion of collusion. If you're willing, they might request a short notarized statement." A faint pang tugs at me, helping Haley, again. But logically, it costs me nothing to confirm the truth. "Right. I'll do it if needed." Elaine seems pleased. "Great. Her lawyer will reach out soon. I'll keep you posted." I hang up, tapping a pen against my desk. Yet another cameo in Haley's mess. But at least it's a simple matter of fact. I shrug, returning to the swirl of spreadsheets on my screen. Lunchtime arrives, and I slip out to a nearby cafe to meet Chad. He strides in wearing a casual jacket, that confident grin in place. We settle at a tiny table by the window, order sandwiches, and he arches an eyebrow at me. "So you called me," he says, leaning forward. "Everything going well with the new lady friend?" I chuckle, nodding. "Melanie. Yes, actually. She's a breath of fresh air, no drama, no shady secrets." He raises his soda in a mock toast. "That's what I like to hear. Finally, some positivity." I sip my iced tea, a wry smile forming. Don't get me wrong, I still feel echoes of the past, but at least my life isn't overshadowed by betrayal anymore. Chad sets his cup down. "And what about Haley's ongoing fiasco? Heard anything new?" I relate Elaine's update about the affidavit. Chad's lips twist in a mild grimace. "So you'll be indirectly helping her out, huh?" I shrug. "It's just the truth. If it helps her stay out of deeper trouble, fine. I'm not eager to see her in prison for a crime she didn't commit." He nods. "Fair enough. Meanwhile, about that scumbag Caleb, my sources say he's hopped around 3 different states, definitely dodging authorities. They might tag him eventually. Seems unstoppable meltdown." A flicker of satisfaction stirs in me. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Chad laughs. "Right? Anyway, if he resurfaces or tries anything, I'll let you know. But hopefully that's behind us now." I exhale, feeling a subtle tension ease. "Thanks, Chad. I appreciate your watchful eye." That afternoon, back at my office, I find my thoughts drifting toward Melanie. I recall her bright smile, the way she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear when she's concentrating. She's asked me to attend a small networking event with her next week, a chance to meet some of her incubator's entrepreneurs. A flutter of nerves hits me. It's kind of a big step, being introduced to her circle. I realize how new this feels. I haven't truly dated, since before Haley, who I met and married relatively quickly. Now I'm navigating a more mature, cautious approach, laced with excitement. I shoot a quick text to Melanie. Would love to come to your event. Looking forward to meeting your team. She replies almost instantly. Great, you'll fit right in. Can't wait. A small grin tugs at my lips. Yes, this is good. This is normal. The next few days fly by. Work intensifies as my client's negotiation hits a critical phase. Elaine's phone call about the affidavit materializes. I receive an email from Haley's attorney, politely requesting I sign a statement confirming separate finances. I read it over simple, factual, no reason to refuse. I schedule a quick appointment with a notary near my office. On a Wednesday evening, I step into the notary's cramped office, sign the statement under her watchful eye, and hand it back. That's that, I mutter, stepping back into the bustling Manhattan sidewalk. The air is crisp, laced with the scents of street food vendors. Another piece of the puzzle for Haley's defense. As I pocket the certified form, I wonder if she's feeling any relief, or if she's still drowning in anxiety. Possibly both. Well, at least I did my part to clarify the truth, no more secrets in my name. Over dinner that night, I fill in Melanie about the affidavit. She tilts her head thoughtfully. That's very decent of you to help her out. I shrug, pushing my pasta around on the plate. It costs me nothing to confirm facts. Honestly, I'm just ready for it to be over. She nods, resting a hand on my wrist. Closure can be messy, but you're handling it well. Better than many would. A faint warmth spreads through me, I guess. Some days I wish I could erase every memory, but that's not how it works. She squeezes gently. We can't erase. We can only move forward. I'm proud of you for choosing that. I meet her gaze, a swell of gratitude rising. Thank you for saying that. We finish dinner with light banter about upcoming events, her networking session, a possible weekend trip out of the city. I feel a subtle rush. The future, for once, is something I can anticipate with hope rather than dread. The morning of Melanie's networking event arrives. I toss on a sleek blazer, a crisp button-down, ensuring I look presentable but not overly formal. She picks me up in a ride-share tasteful black sedan, driver smiling politely. Melanie sits in the back seat, beaming at me as I slide in. You look good, she says, eyes flicking approvingly over my outfit. I grin. So do you. She's wearing a structured dress, hair pinned in a neat twist. Confident, poised, everything about her the polar opposite of the swirling chaos I endured. We arrive at a modern co-working space in Midtown. The interior buzzes with chatter, entrepreneurs showcasing prototypes, small groups exchanging business cards. Melanie leads me around, introducing me as Julian, a brilliant financial consultant. I chuckle modestly, shaking hands. An hour in, we're sipping refreshments near a row of display tables. She's deep in conversation with a tech inventor about some new app. I watch her with quiet admiration. She's in her element, knowledgeable, supportive, witty. A pang of admiration and something else affection stirs within me. Suddenly, I spot a familiar face across the room. It's Brittany. My heart lurches. Why would Brittany be at a tech event? She locks eyes with me, eyebrows shooting up in surprise. She offers a tentative wave. Politely excusing myself from Melanie, I approach Brittany by the coffee stand. Hey, I say quietly. Didn't expect to see you here. She fidgets with her cup. I volunteer as a nurse's aide for some health startup that's exhibiting. I'm off duty, but came to show support. You? I gesture to Melanie, who's still engaged in conversation. A date, in a sense. She's big in the startup world. Brittany nods, then lowers her voice. So how's life? Haley told me you signed that affidavit. She's grateful. I offer a tight smile. Yeah, I gave the facts. That's all. She opens her mouth, then shuts it, seemingly weighing what to say. Finally, she blurts, she's a mess about testifying next week. I know it's none of my business, but if you had a spare minute to talk to her. I hold up a hand, shaking my head. Brittany, no, I can't fix her anxiety. She has a lawyer, that's enough. Brittany bites her lip. I understand. Sorry for bothering you. I just hate seeing her so scared. I exhale. I'm sorry for her too, but I can't keep being her crutch. She nods, resigned. You're right. An awkward pause. Then she notices Melanie heading over and quickly steps away, muttering, Take care, Julian. Melanie slides next to me, offering a curious glance. Everything okay? Yeah, I murmur. Just someone from my old life. She doesn't press further. We move on, and I push the encounter from my mind. Still, a slight pang remains, an echo of sympathy for Haley's predicament, no matter how deserved it might be. A few days later, I'm at my office when Haley's attorney sends an email. Your affidavit is on file. Thank you. Another line mentions the hearing date. Next Tuesday, where Haley will testify about her relationship with Caleb. They might call me as a friendly witness, but probably not. I forward the note to Elaine for safekeeping. That same afternoon, I get a text from Haley. I testify next Tuesday. Thank you for clarifying the finances. Sorry again for everything. Wish me luck. I stare at the phone, a swirl of emotions. Finally, I type a curt reply. Good luck. That's all I can say. She responds with a simple, thanks. I put the phone away, leaning back in my chair. That might be the last real communication we have. Let her face the consequences. Let her find her own footing. Tuesday arrives under a shroud of rainy skies. I find myself absent-mindedly thinking of Haley's court appearance. A flicker of pity surfaces. She's likely trembling, forced to recount humiliating details of how she got entangled with Caleb, how he financed certain aspects of their affair. But I push the thought aside. This is her cross to bear. Around midday, my phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. Warily, I answer. Julian Harrington? A stern male voice. This is Officer Daniels, NYPD's Financial Crimes Unit. We have a quick question about your statement in the Haley Harrington case, your ex-wife. My pulse spikes. Yes, that's me. He proceeds politely. Just verifying the timeline you mentioned in your affidavit dates of separate accounts. No overlap with Caleb's alleged deposits, correct? I exhale, tension loosening. Yes, correct. We had a prenuptial arrangement. We never merged finances. My statement outlines that. The officer sounds satisfied. Great. That's consistent with her testimony. Apologies for the intrusion. We may finalize this soon. I hang up, releasing a breath. So it's official. She's telling the truth under oath, and the system is verifying my part. Fine. That's the end, I hope. Late that evening, Melanie and I share dinner at a newly opened Thai place. Candles flicker on each table, casting soft shadows. She's teasing me about my questionable spice tolerance when my phone vibrates. I check the screen, it's Haley. I hesitate, then quietly step aside to answer. Yes? I whisper, trying not to disrupt the restaurant's ambience. Haley's voice quivers with a mix of relief and exhaustion. Julian? Sorry, I just came out of the hearing. They accepted my testimony. The DA said I'm officially not a suspect. They only needed me as a witness. I close my eyes, a wave of release for her sake. That's good. So you're off the hook then? She exhales. Yes. They might ask me to appear in future proceedings if Caleb is actually caught and prosecuted. But I'm not facing charges. I wanted to say thank you. I swallow. You're welcome, I guess. Glad you told the truth and it worked out. She sniffles quietly. It did. I know I don't deserve your help after everything. But you gave it, and I won't forget that. A flutter of conflicting feelings. I only provided factual statements, Haley. Not exactly heroics. She sounds like she might cry. Still, it matters. Thank you. Goodbye, Julian. The call clicks off before I can reply. I stare at the phone for a second, heart pounding. Goodbye, indeed. That's the final note. I return to the table, forcing a neutral expression. Melanie glances up questioningly. I slip into my chair, clearing my throat. Just the last shred of my old life. It's resolved now. She nods, reading my eyes. That's good. I pick up my fork, feeling a subtle weight lift from my chest. Maybe now, truly, I can close the door on that chapter and focus fully on the future, on Melanie, on forging a life unburdened by betrayals. I stand in front of my bathroom mirror, adjusting my tie, the reflection revealing a figure I barely recognize from 6 months ago. The haunted lines around my eyes have softened, replaced by a steadier confidence. My posture is straighter, my expression less guarded. Today is a big day. I'm set to speak on a panel at a finance conference, a chance to boost my reputation as a consultant. It's not the type of event Haley would have joined me for. But Melanie texted me this morning. Knock it out of the park. Let me know how it goes. That supportive message alone brightens my nerves. A beep from my phone signals an email from Elaine, likely paperwork referencing final closures around the divorce. I can check it later. Right now, I have a conference to tackle. The finance conference unfolds in a grand hotel ballroom. High ceilings, rows of chairs, a stage with a long table for the panelists. I greet fellow speakers, some of whom I've worked with tangentially. My name tag reads, Julian Harrington, Independent Consultant. As the session begins, I find a seat among a half-dozen experts. The moderator introduces us, launching into questions about current market trends and growth strategies. I field queries with measured confidence, referencing real client cases, minus names. The crowd nods along, occasionally clapping at a witty remark or insight. Midway through, I catch a glimpse of a familiar face near the back row. My heart stutters. It's Brittany again. She's not wearing a name badge, so presumably not an attendee. Is she following me, or just randomly here? I refocus on the panel, pushing away the distraction. By the time we wrap, the moderator thanks us and applause ripples through the ballroom. I stand, gather my notes, and step off stage as audience members mill about, approaching the panelists with follow-up questions. Sure enough, Brittany is drifting closer. She offers a small wave, half smile. Hi, Julian. That was good stuff. I didn't know you'd be speaking. I keep my tone polite. Thanks. I'm surprised to see you. Are you attending the conference? She shrugs, flushing slightly. I came to support a friend who's presenting. I saw your name in the brochure last minute. My suspicion dims. Maybe it's a coincidence. Got it. Well, thanks for listening. She fidgets, glancing around. Look, I don't want to bother you. Just wanted to say hi and let you know Haley's been doing better since that hearing. She found a part-time job at a small accounting firm. She's stepping out of that slump, I guess. I blink. That's good. Surprising, but good. Brittany nods, a hopeful gleam in her eye. I think she's realized how badly she messed up. She's determined to rebuild. I sense an underlying question. Do you want to see her? Talk to her? Reconnect? But I remain firm. I'm glad she's moving forward. I still prefer no contact. Brittany exhales. I get it. I won't push. Anyway, I'll let you go. Just wanted to say you spoke really well. Congratulations. She slips away into the crowd. I stand there grappling with a swirl of relief and mild irritation. At least Haley's not a train wreck anymore. But that doesn't change my boundaries. I tuck away my notes and move on, chatting with other conference attendees. Later that evening, I'm exhausted from the day's events. I drop my briefcase on the condo sofa, inhaling the quiet. My phone pings, a text from Melanie. How was the conference star? I smile, texting back. Went well. Tired, but it was a good experience. Within seconds, she replies, I'm proud of you. Free for dinner tomorrow? My treat. A surge of warmth spreads. She's so direct, so caring. I type, absolutely. Let's do it. 7 p.m. Perfect, she answers. I toss my phone aside, letting my head fall back against the cushions. Thoughts drift to Haley's newly stable situation. She's truly turning a corner. A part of me is almost proud, relieved she's not on the brink. But I reaffirm my stance. I can't slip back into caretaker mode. That's behind me. The next day, I arrive at a cozy Mediterranean bistro at 6:55 p.m. Melanie's already there, scanning the wine list. She brightens when she sees me, standing to greet me with a soft hug. Hey, star speaker, she teases. I read a social media post praising your panel. You're quite the talk of the day. I chuckle, shrugging. Might be an exaggeration, but thanks. We settle into a candlelit corner, the hum of quiet conversation enveloping us. Over plates of roasted vegetables and lamb, we chat about her startup expansions, my new leads from the conference. She occasionally reaches across to brush my hand, a small affectionate gesture that sends pleasant sparks. At one point, she leans in, voice gentle. Julian, I want to say something. I appreciate how open you've been about your past. I know it's not easy to trust again. My chest tightens slightly. Well, you've made it easier to try. She gives a small smile, eyes warm. Likewise. Just know, I'm here. No rush, no pressure. I like where we're heading. Emotions flutter in me, hope, gratitude, a sense of readiness. For a split second, an image of my old wedding day flares in my mind, contrasted by Haley's betrayal. But I push it aside, focusing on this new spark. I like it too, I murmur, returning her smile. Over the weekend, I decide it's time to do something I've put off. Reorganize the bedroom closet, rummaging for leftover items that might connect me to painful memories. In the process, I find a tattered box labeled wedding keepsakes. My heart lurches. Inside are old invitations, a dried corsage, random bits of nostalgia. I slump to the floor, flipping through them with a detached curiosity. These tokens represent a promise that was broken. Once we were in love, planning a future. Now I see them as relics from a different life. For a moment, I consider burning them, or shredding them. Would that bring closure? Possibly. But something holds me back from total destruction. Instead, I gather them into a smaller container, label it simply past, and place it in the back of a storage shelf. Let it gather dust, out of sight. I stand, dusting off my jeans, a sense of finality coursing through me. It's time to focus on the life I'm building now. A few nights later, I'm at Melanie's apartment for the first time. A neat space with warm lighting and shelves lined with entrepreneurial books. We cook dinner together, pasta with homemade sauce. She laughs as I attempt to chop onions, tears streaming from my stinging eyes. Midway through stirring the sauce, she glances at me, her expression turning serious. Julian, I've been meaning to ask, how do you feel about traveling? My incubator might open a small branch in Chicago soon. I'll be going back and forth a bit. I blink, considering. I'm not opposed to travel. Could be interesting. She smiles. Think you'd ever join me for a weekend there? See the scene? Maybe even collaborate with some of our teams? A flush of excitement. I'd love that, actually. She beams. Great. Another step forward, huh? I nod. Yes, one I'm ready for. We finish cooking, then enjoy the meal side by side at her small dining table, discussing potential expansions for both our careers. My mind flickers with the vision of a dynamic future, a far cry from the suffocating drama I left behind. That weekend, Chad and I grab a casual brunch. He's all grins, praising me for turning over a new leaf. I fill him in on the Chicago possibility. He leans back, folding his arms. Dude, you're living the dream now, post-divorce success story. I laugh, though a pang of humility flutters. Let's not jinx it. I'm just content for once. He sips his coffee. Any new Haley drama? I shake my head. None. She's apparently working quietly, coping. Good for her, I guess. Chad smirks. Better to have no news from that front. We clink our coffee cups in a mock toast, gratitude for the calmer seas we sail. A few days later, I'm working late, finalizing a major client report. The office is nearly empty, lights dimmed. Around 8 p.m., my phone rings. Caller ID says unknown. I consider ignoring it, but some instinct pushes me to answer. Hello? A raspy male voice. Is this Julian Harrington? I tense. Yes. Who's calling? He exhales, a hint of desperation. It's Caleb. My heart jolts. Caleb? That snake, presumably on the run. I keep my voice cold. Why the hell are you calling me? He coughs, voice trembling. I'm out of state, but I need help, man. I got no one else to turn to. I know you hate me. Fury flares. You're damn right I do. You destroyed my marriage. He cuts in, voice raw. I messed up, okay? But I'm in real trouble. The law's closing in. I owe money to some dangerous people. I'm desperate. A bitter laugh escapes me. And you thought I'd be your savior? After everything you pulled? He sounds near tears. Look, if I get caught, I might face years in prison. I'll do anything. If you loan me some funds, I'll vanish, never bother you again. My skin crawls with rage. You want me to bail you out financially? You must be insane. He whimpers. I have no one else. Haley's ignoring me. My own family disowned me. You got money, come on, man. I clench my fist. You blackmailed her, cheated with my wife, and now you want my pity? I should call the cops right now, give them your location. A strangled sob. I'm not a monster. I made mistakes. My voice shakes with anger. You are a monster. Lose my number, or I will call the authorities. He tries to plead, Julian, but I cut the call. My hand trembles around the phone. Unbelievable nerve. I stand, pacing my office, considering whether to actually call law enforcement. But I realize I have no idea where he is. I decide to text Chad about it. Let him handle the tip if he can trace the number. After sending Chad the info, I slump in my chair, adrenaline surging. Caleb's desperate call a final attempt to exploit me. The audacity leaves me seething. But also, ironically, it cements how far I've come. I owe that scumbag nothing. I drive home, wind rattling the car windows. As I park, my phone buzzes Chad's reply. Forward me the unknown number. I'll see if I can trace it. Might lead nowhere, but worth a shot. I do so, then step into my condo, the swirl of anger dissipating. I pour a small glass of bourbon, reflecting on the surreal moment. Caleb, kneeling at my feet for money. Perhaps the ultimate irony. I hold all the power, and I choose not to help. Feels like a twisted final victory in my revenge storyline. Eventually, I sigh, finishing the bourbon. Let that be the last I hear from him. That weekend, I share the bizarre story with Melanie during a quiet brunch at her place. She's aghast. Caleb literally called you asking for money? She exclaims, setting her coffee mug down hard. The nerve! I nod grimly. No shame at all. She shakes her head, eyes blazing. You're not tempted, right? I give her a wry look. Absolutely not. I told him to get lost. She relaxes, placing a comforting hand on mine. Good. He deserves whatever consequences he's facing. I gently squeeze her fingers. Exactly. I'm done letting him pollute my life. She stands, wraps her arms around me from behind, and places a kiss on my cheek. You're strong, Julian. I'm proud of you for cutting him off. A rush of gratitude floods me. I have someone who genuinely supports me now, no hidden motives, no betrayal. This is what I've needed. Together, we step into the living room, the windows open to a sunlit cityscape. A sense of calm envelops us. I realize with a pang of relief that the drama is truly in its final throes. Caleb can't manipulate me. Haley is forging a separate path. My revenge and heartbreak have run their course. Now I get to choose happiness. Days pass in a tranquil rhythm. I see Melanie frequently dinners, weekend walks, the occasional cozy evening at one of our apartments. She's about to depart for Chicago for a short business trip, and we share a playful farewell. She jokes about me not letting old ghosts bother me while she's gone. I reassure her I'm done with haunting apparitions. In the meantime, Chad confirms no new leads on Caleb's location. He might have changed his number again or fled further. Haley remains distant, presumably focusing on her job. Life for once is quiet, peaceful. I savor it, hoping the hush endures. But as fate would have it, the final storm is brewing. One chilly afternoon, Elaine calls me in a subdued tone. Julian, we have a development regarding Caleb. The FBI found him in Arizona, arrested him on multiple warrants. I thought you should know. My pulse jumps. So it's over for him. She hums. Likely. He'll face charges of fraud, possible money laundering. They might request Haley's presence again for further testimony, but you probably won't be involved. This time the feds are leading the case. A swirl of relief hits me. Well, good riddance to him. Elaine adds, yes, but be prepared if they contact you for a statement about how he impacted your finances. I doubt it's necessary, given that you two never had direct entanglements, but it's possible. I let out a slow breath. Understood. We hang up, and I stare at my office window, the city skyline somehow clearer. Caleb is behind bars, the toxic weed uprooted. My heart lightens. That evening, I dial Haley's number on impulse. A sense of closure nudges me. I want to confirm she's aware. She answers with cautious surprise. Julian? I keep my tone neutral. Hey, I heard about Caleb. He's arrested, presumably heading for trial. She exhales. Yes, his public defender called me, said I might be a witness again. I'm relieved he's caught, though it stirs up memories. I nod, fiddling with a pen on my desk. I can imagine. But at least you won't face suspicion. She's quiet a moment, Then, in a trembling voice, "Thank you for telling me, and for everything else you did, intentionally or not. I guess I needed to hear it from you. He can't drag you down anymore. Or me." A part of me softens. "Yeah, we're both free of him now. Good luck if you do testify. I hope it goes smoothly." She murmurs, "Thank you." Another pause, then softly, "Julian, I know you've moved on, but if you ever want to talk about regrets or closure or anything, I'm open." I close my eyes, letting the waves of old pain and lingering pity wash over me. "I appreciate that, but I'm okay. I have a new life now." She swallows audibly. I figured. "I'm glad you're happy." "Take care, Haley," I say, not unkindly. Then we end the call. A conversation unthinkable months ago, civil, quiet, steeped in acceptance. It's over. A week later, Melanie invites me to join her in Chicago for a quick weekend. Her incubator's pilot branch is opening, and she wants me to see the space. I jump at the chance, booking a flight on Friday. We land in a brisk, windy city, check into a modern downtown hotel. That evening, we stroll through the Magnificent Mile, sampling deep dish pizza, laughing at the city's vibrant energy. Later, at the incubator's modest offices, she proudly introduces me to a small team of young entrepreneurs. I watch her guide them, discuss marketing strategies. She's in her element, dynamic, visionary. I feel a surge of respect and affection, deeper than I've felt for anyone in ages. Back at the hotel suite, she tosses her blazer on a chair, then turns to me, eyes shining. "So, what do you think of Chicago?" I grin, slipping an arm around her waist. "It's great. Honestly, the vibe is so different from New York, but I see the potential." She leans against me. "I'm planning to split my time, maybe 2 weeks in Chicago, 2 in New York. But I hate the idea of being apart from you for so long." My heart flutters. "We'll figure it out. I can travel more or you can come back. We can meet halfway sometimes." She beams, pressing a gentle kiss to my lips. "You're amazing, Julian. Are you sure your heart is ready for this?" Emotion wells up. "Yes, it's not just ready. It's yearning for it." She exhales softly, eyes misting. "Me too." In that moment, it's like the final chain snapping off my chest. I bury my face in her hair, feeling the warmth of genuine connection. I never thought I'd get here. Monday morning, we fly back to New York. As I settle into my usual work grind, my phone rings Chad with a tinge of excitement in his voice. "Julian, guess what? The FBI wants a brief statement from you about Caleb's attempt to contact you for money. They're building an extortion count." I arch an eyebrow. "Seriously? They want me to help add charges?" He chuckles. "Yes, it's an optional statement. If you confirm that phone call, they might tack on attempted extortion to his rap sheet." I weigh the satisfaction, another nail in Caleb's coffin. "Sure, I'll do it. Let me know what they need." "All right, I'll pass your contact to the agent in charge." We end the call. A swirl of triumphant satisfaction courses through me like a final strike against the man who shattered my marriage. Justice, after all, can be thorough. That same evening, I mentioned the development to Melanie over dinner. She raises her eyebrows. "You're comfortable doing that? I mean, you do realize you're effectively helping put him away for longer?" A flicker of old bitterness stirs. "He deserves it. He tried to extort money from me after wrecking my life. I have no sympathy left." She nods, reaching across the table to hold my hand. "I understand. If it brings you closure, do it." I exhale. "I think I will, because for once I can see the real accountability of everything he did." She squeezes my fingers gently. "I support you." Warmth fills me, a sense of unwavering alliance. I reflect on how alone I felt facing the Haley Caleb fiasco. Now I have a partner who stands beside me. The next day, an FBI agent calls, clarifies the potential extortion charge, and arranges a short phone interview. I recount Caleb's phone call, how he demanded money to vanish, how he threatened not to bother me again if I paid. The agent asks a few clarifying questions, thanks me, and says that might suffice. I hang up, adrenaline thrumming. Every piece of truth pushes that bastard deeper into the consequences he created. My chest feels lighter than ever. Weeks pass, and the city's early summer heat rolls in. Melanie splits her schedule between New York and Chicago, and I find myself traveling a bit to join her. We joke about becoming frequent flyers. During one of these trips, we share a quiet moment in a small Chicago diner, sipping coffee as morning light filters through the window. She hesitates, then smiles softly. Julian, I know we haven't known each other that long, but I feel a strong connection. My heart beats faster. I feel it too. She takes a breath. I'm not trying to rush anything, but I wanted you to know I'm open to the possibility of a future with you. A real one. Emotion wells in my throat. A future. Something I once dreaded, unsure I'd ever trust again. Yet now it feels so right. I want that too. Let's keep building it day by day. She nods, eyes shining. We clink coffee cups, a quiet toast to new beginnings. Back in New York, I come home from a weekend away, unlocking my condo door to find a small envelope slipped underneath. My name is scrawled in familiar handwriting, Haley. I pick it up, tension coiling in my chest. Why is she leaving me messages at my place? I step inside, lock the door, tear open the envelope. A single letter. Julian, I know you said you don't want contact, but I wanted to write this final note. I'm finishing my part-time job training, trying to rebuild my life. I'm also looking at moving out of NYC, maybe to a quieter town. The city holds too many regrets. I just want you to know I'm genuinely sorry. I see now how deeply I hurt you. This letter isn't to beg for anything, only to offer an apology that's free from the chaos of the last year. I hope someday you'll find it in your heart to forgive me, or at least let go of the anger. I won't bother you anymore. I wish you all the happiness I couldn't give you. Haley. I stand there, letter trembling in my hand. My eyes glaze with complex emotion, anger, sorrow, acceptance. At last, I exhale, set the letter aside, and realize there's no fury left. It's just a story that ended. I walk to the kitchen, rummaging for a lighter, half tempted to burn the letter in a symbolic act. But I pause. Instead, I fold it neatly, tuck it in the same past box where wedding keepsakes lie. Let it stay there a relic, not a fresh wound. Staring at the closed box, I murmur softly, I forgive you, not for your sake, but for mine. Another month glides by, the heat of summer intensifying. I'm busier than ever, my consultancy booms, thanks to positive press from the finance panel and referrals. Melanie, meanwhile, finalizes the Chicago incubator branch, traveling back and forth. We keep in constant touch, FaceTiming when apart, planning little getaways when together. My condo feels less like a lonely fortress and more like a welcoming haven for her visits. Caleb's trial date is rumored to be set for the fall. Haley's being summoned as a witness, but from what I hear through tangential sources, it's basically an open and shut case. The DA has mountains of evidence. I might be asked to reaffirm my extortion statement, but that's minimal. He'll likely be locked away for a long time. I think about him only occasionally, like a fleeting cautionary tale of greed and betrayal. The anger that once fueled me has dissolved into a calm certainty. He's out of my life, reaping what he sowed. One Friday afternoon, I wrap up a client meeting early and decide to surprise Melanie, who's back in New York for a few days. She's told me she'll be at her apartment, finishing some phone calls. I swing by a flower shop, selecting a bouquet of sunflowers, bright, cheerful, much like her presence in my life. When she opens her apartment door, her eyes widen at the flowers. Julian, you romantic soul, she teases, pulling me inside. I grin, handing them over. Figured you deserve some color. She sets them in a vase, fussing over arrangement. They're perfect, thank you. Then she turns, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. What's the occasion? I shrug playfully. The occasion is me wanting to do something nice for the woman I'm extremely fond of. She laughs warmly, leaning in to kiss me. You're too sweet. We chat about her day, the entrepreneurial calls. She's tired but satisfied. I mention possibly cooking dinner for us. She brightens at the idea. I'd love that, but we both know you're not the best cook, so maybe I'll supervise. I smirk. Deal. That evening, as we dance around her small kitchen, chopping vegetables and stirring sauce, a soft jazz playlist hums in the background. At some point, she sets down her spoon, looks me in the eye, and says quietly, Julian, can I ask you something personal? I wipe my hands on a towel. Sure. She hesitates, gaze flickering. Would you ever consider living somewhere else? I mean, if my job fully relocates me to Chicago or splits me even more, I'm starting to see real potential out there, and we keep talking about traveling, but I wonder if you'd want to join me more permanently. My heart thuds. You mean move in together in Chicago? She exhales, a nervous smile on her lips. It's a big step, I know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I really want to build a future with you. And if my main base eventually becomes Chicago, I'd love for you to be a part of it. Emotions swirl. Am I ready to uproot from New York where my family business ties once anchored me? Yet, I realize I'm no longer bound by that old life. My father's retired. The family plant is in good shape. My consultancy is mobile. A seed of excitement sprouts. I take her hands gently. Melanie, that's a big move, but yes, I'd consider it, if it's what we both want. Her eyes glisten with relief. Truly? I was afraid I'd scare you off. I smile, pressing my forehead to hers. You're not scaring me. I want a life with you. If that life is in Chicago, so be it. Or we can do both cities. Let's see how it unfolds. She sighs happily, leaning in for a tender kiss. Thank you, Julian. You have no idea how much that means to me. I hold her close, feeling a wave of gratitude and promise. I never thought I'd trust someone enough to consider moving cities for them, but here I am, forging new dreams. In the following weeks, we begin casually scouting for apartments in Chicago just to get a feel. Nothing concrete yet, but the conversation is alive. I approach my clients, gauge if I can handle more remote or travel-based consulting. Most are open to the idea, so long as I remain accessible digitally. One evening, I mentioned the plan to Chad over drinks. He chokes on his beer. Wait, you might leave NYC? You're a dyed-in-the-wool New Yorker, I laugh. You adapt, man. Gotta follow where the heart leads. He smirks. Look at you, romantic. I'm happy for you, truly. Just promise not to vanish completely. I need my buddy around. We clink glasses in a light-hearted toast. I'll come back often, or you can visit. Don't worry, Chad. In the swirl of this potential relocation, another letter arrives from Haley, this time via official channels. It's a formal notice that I may be asked to provide a brief statement for Caleb's sentencing hearing regarding the extortion attempt. The date is set 2 months from now, in federal court. I let out a humorless chuckle. He's not done yet, is he? But realistically, it's standard procedure. The DA wants victim impact statements. I can choose to appear or just submit a letter. I consult Elaine. She says it's entirely up to me. Some victims find closure in addressing the court. Others prefer minimal involvement. I weigh the idea. Would it help me to stand in court, verbally condemning Caleb? Or am I better off letting it rest? After some thought, I decide to simply write a statement. I'm no longer consumed by him, I tell Elaine, but I'll confirm how he tried to extort me if that helps the sentencing. I don't need to stand there in person. She agrees, promising to coordinate with the prosecutor. One evening, I settle in with my laptop, crafting the final letter to the court. I detail how Caleb cheated with my wife, how he later demanded money in a phone call, referencing his own dire straits. I keep it factual, describing the emotional harm but also clarifying that I've moved on. I conclude with, I urge the court to hold him accountable so he can't victimize others. Reading it back, I feel no surge of bitterness, only calm resolution. I email it to Elaine, exhaling. That's the last word I'll have on Caleb. Summer slips toward autumn, the city's leaves turning golden. Melanie's frequent trips to Chicago intensify, and I join her on some, exploring potential apartments. We find a charming loft near the Loop, exposed brick tall windows. We imagine hosting dinners, working from home offices side by side. Nothing signed yet, but we're drifting closer to making that leap. Chad teases me about becoming a Midwestern boy. I just grin. I'll always be a New Yorker at heart, but sometimes life calls for change. During one such Chicago visit, Melanie and I stand on a rooftop, gazing at the skyline. She slips her hand into mine. Thank you for believing in me, in this. I never expected to meet someone so soon after your divorce, but it feels right. I wrap an arm around her. It does. And no timeline is perfect. We found each other when we needed to. She leans her head on my shoulder. I love you, Julian. My heart thuds. I close my eyes, letting those words sink in. Then I turn, gently cupping her face. I love you too. It's the first time we've said it. The moment vibrates with significance. I feel tears prick my eyes, a swirl of joy and relief. Love, honest and untainted. Back in New York, I share the news with Chad. We said the word. He whoops, clapping me on the back. Finally, man, you deserve that feeling. I nod, a grin tugging at my lips. I was afraid I'd never say it again. Chad's tone softens. Life's weird, huh? You gotta burn down an old life to find a new one. I stare into my coffee. Yeah, exactly. And I feel free. A month later, the sentencing hearing for Caleb arrives. I don't attend, but I get word from Elaine and the court that my statement was read. He's sentenced to a lengthy prison term for fraud, money laundering, and the attempted extortion. Haley testifies briefly about her role as a witness. Afterwards, a final email from the prosecutor's office. Case closed. Thank you for your contribution. A wave of finality swells. Caleb, gone from my orbit, paying for his choices. Brittany texts me a day later. He got 10 years. Haley says it was surreal in court. She's done. She's leaving the city soon. Wanted me to let you know. I reply with a simple, thanks for the update. No further elaboration. Haley leaving NYC. Another piece of the puzzle. We're all scattering to new beginnings. Shortly after, I stand on my condo's balcony, an autumn breeze ruffling my hair. Melanie stands beside me, tucking her arm through mine. We gaze at the city lights. The conversation we've circled around is now reaching a conclusion. We're going to move to Chicago for at least a year, maybe longer. We found a prospective loft. Her incubator has big plans, and I can consult from anywhere. Are you sure? She whispers, searching my expression. I cup her cheek gently. I've never been more sure. This place. I glance at the condo's interior. It was a symbol of what I built with Haley, and for a while it was my fortress of solitude. But now I'm ready to let it go. She smiles, eyes bright with tears. And build something with me? I nod firmly. Yes, together. We embrace, the city's murmur enveloping us. In that moment, I recall the entire journey, the heartbreak, the fury, the methodical revenge, the relief, the new love, all culminating in this final step of letting go and moving forward. I press a kiss to Melanie's forehead. Let's do it. Epilogue-style conclusion. Within 2 months, I sell my New York condo, an easy transaction in this hot market, packing the last boxes of my old life. Chad offers a farewell party, promising to visit me in Chicago. Elaine congratulates me, jokes that I'd better not need her services again soon. Haley quietly departs the city around the same time, rumor says heading upstate or out west for a fresh start. We don't speak no calls, no letters, just the knowledge that we each found closure. Melanie and I sign the lease on the Chicago loft. We drive there on a crisp, sunny day, trunk loaded with our essentials. The loft is airy, beams of light pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows, promising a wide horizon of possibilities. We set down boxes, share a grin, then wrap each other in a tight embrace. I can almost hear the final echoes of betrayal vanish into the wind. I am free. No more clinging to the past. The future beckons, bright and uncharted, and I hold Melanie's hand as we step forward together.